So sentiment indicates that he wants improved governance across the country.
I support the speech that he gave. He's saying our councillors must learn how the DA councillors are performing in their areas. There's nothing wrong to learn from a top-performing student in your same class, If you get 40% and there's somebody in your class who gets 80%, you learn on how he gets that 80%, so you improve on yourself. I think in that sense, I don't really blame the president on that issue.
A Kenyan High Court has issued an arrest warrant for a British national suspected of murdering a 21-year-old woman more than a decade ago. Agnes Wanjiru was killed in March 2012 and her body later found in a septic tank of a hotel in the central garrison town of Nanyuki nearly 3 months after she had allegedly spent an evening partying with the British soldiers. Justice Alexander Muteti said prosecutors had provided sufficient evidence to request that the suspect appears before a Kenyan court for trial. The judge directed that the identities of the accused and witnesses not be published, saying this was necessary in order to protect the integrity of the trial. An independent UN International Commission of Inquiry chaired by the former High Commissioner for Human Rights, Neve Pillay, has released its latest report findings that Israel has committed genocide in Gaza. The commission, which has been investigating events on and since the Hamas attack on the 7th of October 2023, has concluded that Israeli authorities and its security forces committed 4 of the 5 genocidal acts defined by the 1948 Genocide Convention, which is at the center of South Africa's case against Israel at the International Court of Justice. Sharon Bryce-Peace reports.
The Commission concluded that Israeli authorities committed 4 acts of genocide in Gaza, including causing serious bodily harm, deliberately inflicting conditions of life calculated to bring about the destruction of Palestinians in whole or in part, and imposing measures intended to prevent births. The report further finds that explicit statements by Israeli civilian and military authorities and the pattern of conduct of that state's security forces indicated that the genocidal acts were committed with the intent to destroy Palestinians in the Gaza Strip as a group.
Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Ntsinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
It is 6 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. Welcome to your gateway to the good life. This is The Upside on Channel Africa, the African Perspective with Tebogo, Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko, Mosito. We're coming to you live from the Auckland Park studios in Johannesburg, South Africa. And you can catch us live on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. Happy Tuesday to you and yours. Thank you so much for tuning in. Happy Tuesday to you, Mmatsheko Mosito. How are you doing?
Tebogo's in the 18th area. He's in the area. Oh my gosh. Every single time, without fail, you make me think of TKZ. When you say South Africa, hey, ta-da.
Yeah, I'm like a couple of years too late for them at their prime.
Well, actually, yes. So we've remixed it. We are the gateway to Africa. I love that catchphrase. Thank you for tuning in. I am feeling great. I am back on what seems like is going to be a normal circadian rhythm. And I feel great.
All right.
In simple, plain English, I'm getting some
You've been
sleep.
sleeping.
Listen, I'm passing the test, Kalogu. You see. So I feel great. How are you doing?
I'm good. I can't complain. It's been an interesting kind of day. I don't know what weather we're experiencing, whether it's hot, whether it's cold in Johannesburg. It's been interesting. And I know we're having very, very enlightening conversations today on the upside. I know one of which, and it's one that I am looking forward to because I use this product. Mitchum deodorant. Mitchum, you know Mitchum?
Oh,
right?
Mitchum have been around for a minute.
100%, 100%. They have recalled a batch of their 48-hour roll-on deodorant in response to some people complaining about irritation, skin irritation. This has been reported in South Africa, in the UK, and in Ireland. Some have even gone as far as to say that it's darkened their underarms, made it a lot darker because of the Mitchum. I mean, I also use Mitchum products. I use Mitchum deodorant. Right?
Are you getting dark
No,
underarms
I
and irritation
also, I don't check
and
that.
rashes?
I don't check, but no,
Oh, come on.
I'm good. I'm good. I haven't seen any. I haven't felt any irritation. My only problem is that little white fluff that remains. It doesn't
Yes,
properly.
the residue.
The little residue. I'm not a fan of that. But yeah, we'll be talking about that if you've been affected by this Mitchum deodorant situation. So we'll be talking about that. That's one of the conversations I'm looking forward to because it affects me directly.
You know, also, deodorant is a daily thing, okay? It's something we use every single day. So, listen, it's definitely worth talking about. In the golden hour, we're going to be looking at emerging writers as they shine in the Darlow Cantemba. Remember Cantemba from back in the day? I think like of people like Rapulana CPMO actor who so you know they've reworked and reimagined the work of Cantemba. The likes of Silomake Kanqube knows a lot about Cantemba, so it's going to be wonderful to look at the Cantemba Merit Award anthology published by Wits University Press. Okay, so this is up my alley because I love this sort of thing. I love documenting history, culture, philosophy, writing. The arts just make me happy, and agriculture also makes me very happy. So I'm an interesting person. But here we are. We're going to be looking at this, and I think as it filters through the archive of the university, that gives me hope that this work really is in a safe space, and future generations will be able to access it. So that's quite exciting.
Absolutely, right. And then in the final hour in our literature corner, we'll be joined by Uzinhle Matthews, who inspires children to discover their inner strength through a book titled My Family of Superheroes. How cute. She'll be joining us in studio for that. It's 11 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. Welcome to the Tuesday edition of The Upside.
No matter where you are, Channel Africa is always with you.
Es-tu préoccupé par quelque chose? Es-tu passionné par les questions qui comptent? As-tu une voix qui mérite d'être entendue? Eh bien, nous avons la plateforme parfaite pour toi. Téléphone-nous ou fais-nous un WhatsApp au +27 66 408 87 42 et nous te rappellerons. Sois dans la conversation.
Salut Channel Africa, ici Beno le diamant rouge et Binal Export depuis le Cameroun, le pays des lions. Voilà.
Sois dans la conversation. Il ne s'agit pas seulement de parler, mais c'est ta chance d'exprimer ton point de vue, de partager tes opinions et de t'engager avec une communauté qui valorise ton avis. Suivez-nous sur les réseaux sociaux, visitez notre site www.channelafrica.co.za et préparez-vous à partager vos points de vue sur Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
The Upside, 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time. With Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mosito. Only on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Eternal Africa. Greatness. DJ Natil.
Fonya kitletse moke, bomokele baradalitse. Uskele magutse, uskele. Fonya kitletse moke, bomokele baradalitse. Uskele magutse, uskele. Scanju the one around you, do onyaga chango, do male mabantu, force slow like a marango.
No man get so come on your bed. Body on check. I thought I don't mind the bed them. Don't eat do mado. Casting go beo. I want to get the jawa machine. I don't wanna hear shit. I don't wanna hear say you there with another man. We about to do it. I know like I'm but see me no down. I don't wanna hear shit. I don't wanna hear say you there with another man. We about to do it. I know I don't wanna see you with nobody. Don't wanna see with nobody. DJ Neptune. Phone ya ke tletse bouquet. Phone ya ke tletse bouquet. DJ Neptune. Phone ya ke tletse bouquet. Phone ya ke tletse bouquet. Baby, this your body, no be yeah. I tell you, say you fine, you know they get. Me, I know we don't need. I see you with the surgery. Anyway, me, I know go get. Not only you, I the one I swear. So don't waste time, baby, my rose. Ooh yeah, 'cause if it you I want, if it you I they want, oh, I go prove my love, I go risk it all, oh. I don't wanna hear say, I don't wanna hear say you there with another man. The way your body rotate, I know like I'm but see with another man. I don't wanna hear say, I don't wanna hear say you there with another man. The way your body rotate, I don't wanna see you with nobody.
15 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. DJ Neptune, they're coming through with Nobody, featuring Joe Boy and Mr. Easy. Welcome to the second hour of the... No, it's the first hour of The Upside. Very excited today. I don't know why. Welcome to the first hour of The Upside on Channel Africa, The African Perspective. It's a Tuesday edition of the show, and we kickstart our conversation this afternoon by talking about a product that could be affecting you at home. We turn to a story that's making headlines globally. Mitcham has announced a recall of specific batches of its 48-hour 100mm roll-on deodorants following reports of skin irritation in South Africa, the UK and Ireland. While the formula itself hasn't changed, the company confirmed that a modification in the manufacturing process of a raw material caused unexpected reactions for some users. The affected batches are limited and identifiable by the batch code printed at the bottom of the packaging. Mitcham has moved quickly to return to its original process and ensure affected products are removed from shelves. But the incident raises important questions about skin safety, product testing, and what consumers should do if they have been affected. To help us unpack this, we are joined by Dr. Pemulo Langa, medical doctor with expertise in advanced aesthetic medicine, specializing in acne and hyperpigmentation treatments. Dr. Pemulo, thank you so much for your time. Welcome to The Upside. Let's talk about the irritations, the skin irritations that have been reported so far by the users, and perhaps those who are currently using it did not even think that it could be because of a Mitcham deodorant. What have been the reports so far in terms of the irritations that have been reported by the users?
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for having me. Just to correct you before we start, I'm Dr. Langa.
All right, apologies for that. Thank you so much, doctor. Thank you.
So before we can start, I would just want us to understand, or rather define a deodorant, and just to get in depth of what does a deodorant do, and what are the chemical reaction that one can can have when using a deodorant. I don't know if you can still hear me.
We can hear you, Doc. You're welcome to go ahead.
Thank you. So a deodorant is actually a topical personal skincare product that's usually applied on the skin to help with body odor, mostly stemming from the bacterial decomposition of perspiration. So we know that perspiration is the process of sweating. The process of sweating causes an overgrowth of bacteria. The bacteria then causes an odor. Remember that a deodorant is different from an antiperspirant. So an antiperspirant is used to disinhibit perspiration. So there's a difference between the two. The deodorant works for the odor.
Yeah.
The antiperspirant works to inhibit the perspiration process. Very much important. What we want from this product is that they should not irritate the skin. They should definitely be safe and non-toxic, whether they're for cosmetic use or medical use. They should be easy to apply and they should stick well to the skin. They shouldn't ruin the clothes and should cover up body odor with a nice scent rather than having a bad odor.
Okay. Okay, well, that's a good thing to distinguish, Doc, because I don't think a lot of us really know the difference between a deodorant and an antiperspirant, and it's always just so good to know that distinction. Also, when you're purchasing, what exactly are you buying? What are the reasons you're buying this particular product for? So yes, a case in point that we're discussing, a very popular deodorant or antiperspirant or roll-on, if you want to call that, brand has announced a recall of a specific batch of their roll-on deodorants, actually, following reports of skin irritations from customers in South Africa and in other places abroad as well. We're joined on the line by Dr. Mmatsheko. She is a medical doctor, and we're really just unpacking from a medical perspective what skin irritation looks like, when to call the doctor, and also what are we actually using? What are some of these ingredients in there that are triggering these irritations? We're going to take a break, then we're going to continue the conversation.
Get the news, music, and lifestyle of Africa on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Ukatili wa kijinsia unaharibu maisha na kutenga jamii. Hutokea nyumbani, shuleni, kazini na mara nyingi kwa ukimya. Lakini hauwezi kuendelea. Ukiona, ongea. Ikiwa unaumia, funguka, kwa sababu kutofanya lolote sio chaguo. Sikiliza vituo vyote 19 vya redio kuanzia Jumatano ya tarehe 23 Julai kwenye mijadala, ushauri, tamthilia, maonyesho ya elimu na mahojiano na wataalamu, manusura, watunga sheria na nchi nzima iliyoathirika na ukatili wa kijinsia kwenye vituo vyako pendwa vya redio. Piga simu 0800 428 428 ili kuripoti unyanyasaji au kupata msaada. GBV ikomeshwe na wewe. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwenu na shirika la SABC.
The Upside. On the Upside, your voice matters.
Yes, it does matter. It is 22 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. I do apologize. There you see our social media specialist here, is like, no, can't carry on with the show. Must grab pictures of you so that people can see you at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. Let's continue our conversation about this Mitcham recall and the effects that it has had on people's skins, and why we need to be aware of the products that we're putting and applying on our skins.
Yeah, that's another thing we're learning. It's actually a skin issue as well, needs medical attention. Dr. Mmatsheko, Mmatsheko, thank you for staying on the line. Let's talk about how we can distinguish between something that's a mild irritation that I can just put, I don't know, a little bit of tea tree oil over and it's fine, versus when it becomes so concerning that I've got to come and see a medical doctor like yourself.
Definitely. That's a very important question. I really love it. So it's very important to distinguish between a mild reaction and a severe reaction. And the reason why we want to distinguish between the two is that a severe skin irritation can actually be life-threatening. If we talk about a mild skin reaction, we are talking about, a localized reaction, meaning it is only on a particular area or surface of the body. Right? It can get itching, yes, it can get swollen, and it can get red. However, the function would still be there. Let's say, for example, you had an irritation just on the wrist area. Let's say you were touching something, or rather, let's say you had your watch on and your watch is irritating. So that localized area where your watch is sitting, you can have a little bit of rash, you can have some redness, a bit of swelling. That we can call a mild reaction. However, a severe skin reaction that will require one to be seen by a medical doctor or to get medical attention. It would be a reaction that goes to what we call angioedema, right? Angioedema is now when you have a reaction and it results on your hands getting to be swollen, and it results on the lips or the mouth getting to be swollen. So you can imagine that the hands and the mouth are the organs that we actually use on an everyday basis. If your hands are swollen, you do not have function. You're not able to use them. If your mouth is swollen, you're not able to talk. You understand? But it can also get to an extent of what we call an anaphylactic shock. Now, an anaphylactic shock is a severe skin reaction whereby there's also swelling of the vocal cords. And when you have swelling of the vocal cords, you can imagine that oxygen, which enters our body through the mouth or the nose, will not be able to get into the lungs. And that can actually result in death. An anaphylactic shock doesn't need to be caused by something that you put inside the body. Even a small, let's say, application of whatever can actually get into the bloodstream, causing an anaphylactic shock.
Doctor, some of the users who have bought the Mitchum deodorants over the past couple of weeks have reported, some of them, not all of them, have reported that a darkening of their underarms. What seems to be causing that? Some have reported irritation. Yes, it's irritating. It's itchy. But some have also reported that it's darkening their underarms. What could be the cause of that? And is that a cause for concern that we need to go to a doctor for?
Definitely. So we need to understand that whatever that we put into our skin, it might have a reaction, or rather it has a reaction because it goes into the living cells. So if it is a product that's going to kill the cells, it's going to result in death of the cell resulting in blockage of the pores resulting in further death of the cell. And that's how you get what we call hyperpigmentation of the skin due to death of the cell or debris that's piling up onto the skin.
Okay. So, I'm just thinking there's obviously a lot of chemicals in these products, doctor, and we've got to be really careful. And I think for the population that is already dealing with skin sensitivities, you've got to be extra, extra careful when you're buying your deodorant or antiperspirant, as it were. So, are there any safer alternatives? Or perhaps the question is, what ingredients should I be looking at if I'm buying an antiperspirant? For example, I can't necessarily use one that is going to be so antiperspirant that I can't sweat at all, and it affects my lymphatic drainage, which is very, very important to me. So what
Mhm.
kind of ingredients should we be looking for? And I think really when we really
Mhm.
look broader at the space of products and what we're using, people are looking for maybe more natural alternatives or safer deodorants, not necessarily talking about brands, but what on the ingredient list would be safer to use.
Very much important. When we look at these ingredients, we want to find antibacterial agents. You understand that the ampules, when you sweat, the overgrowth of bacteria becomes quite extreme because of the environments that's closed up. So you want to find an antibacterial agent in this deodorant or antiperspirants. You want to also find what we call chlorhexidine acetate, which is also an antiseptic because that area we don't clean, it's not exposed to air as compared to the skin. So the chlorhexidine then goes into the skin to remove the cells that could be clogging up inside the pores. What is very much important as well is to not use deodorants that have got high alcohol content, because in doing so, the alcohol can actually irritate the skin and as well as dry off the skin, which can result also in irritation.
What is high alcohol in percentage terms, doctor?
I would not want to be specific, but because in the medical field, we don't learn about cosmetics. But when we talk about high alcohol percentage, we're talking about an amount of alcohol that's not meant to irritate the skin. So remember, we had our sanitizers that would contain about 75% of alcohol. When we put that on our skin, it was not itchy, it was not irritating the skin. However, remember that there's a certain population of people that they themselves have skin conditions. So if you're going to use 75% of alcohol onto your hands and you have eczema, you are going to have an irritation. So it depends from person to person. I wouldn't say even doctors are able to prescribe deodorant. However, we are able to prescribe what we call antiperspirant. That's why I wanted us to define the difference between the two.
All right, amazing. Doctor, thank you so much for your time this afternoon and for your insights. The voice of Dr. Mmatsheko Langa, medical doctor and aesthetic medicine expert, helping us to unpack the recent Mitcham deodorant recall. And if you'd like to learn more about the Mitcham recall, simply go to the National Consumer Commission to find out about the details, about the batch name, numbers, and so on and so forth. There's a toll-free number as well, customer support, 0800 128 46. That's +27 in South Africa. It's 31 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. Musibudi Makura standing by with sport.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you so much, Tebogo. A very good afternoon from the Sports Desk. We'll start this hour with athletics news. So American sprint star Noah Lyles says he's not too bothered by the colour of the medal he received at the World Senior Athletics Championships in Tokyo on Sunday. This after finishing third in the men's 100-metre event. Jamaica's oblique Sevilla ended a decade-long wait for a gold medal for the Jamaicans, having won the first medal since the legendary Usain Bolt won it back in 2015, storming to a victory of 9.77 seconds. His compatriot Kishan Thompson followed in 9.82 seconds for the silver, while Lyles, the defending champion, settled for bronze medal in a time of 9.89 seconds. Lyles says he's content and not too worried about the medal colour, insisting it doesn't define his character.
You gotta put a smile on your face. Just because you're going through hard times doesn't mean that you can't smile. I was listening to a sermon once, and they said, "Happy is a verb. It's in the moment. Joyful is a state of being. I'm gonna be joyful, no matter if I lost today, no matter if I won today. The color of the medal does not change the color of my character, and it doesn't change how life is going."
Meanwhile, Olympic 200-meter champion Tebogo says he has accepted his disqualification from the 100-meter final and is now focusing on his next race, which is the 200-meter on Wednesday. The Botswana superstar admitted that it had been a tough year battling injuries and other setbacks, but he remains positive. Tebogo says that despite the false start, he's ready to move forward and focus on the rest of the season.
Yeah, man, I'm good for the two. The 100 showed me that we are fully 100% okay. With the rounds, how it went, with the 995 that we ran, it shows that there's 100% okay. I just need to go into the 200, execute the same race that I've did in Nanda and I've did in also in Paris.
Right, we'll stay with the World Athletics Championships. Triple Olympic champion Faith Kepyegon will be seeking to rewrite history today as she takes to the track for the final of the 1,500-meter event, aiming for a fourth global title in Tokyo. So having won the title back in 2017, 2022 and 2023, and also holding the world record in the same race, the Kenyan has already enjoyed smooth sailing from the first round until the semi-finals and this year's championships. So she will be accompanied by the Diamond League champion Nelly Chepchere, as well as a debutante US-based Dorcas Ewo. Kepyegon will aim to become the first woman to win 4 gold medals and 3 consecutive titles in the 1,500-meter event. Back home now, South Africa's men's national football team Bafana Bafana have been cleared of any wrongdoing by the World Football Governing Body FIFA following the controversy surrounding the fielding of Tebogo Mokoena and the past match. Mokoena was fielded in South Africa's World Cup qualifier against Lesotho in March of this year when Hugo Bruce's men won that game 2-0 despite the fact that he had been suspended for that game. Now, from a number of rulings as well as disciplinary decisions released by FIFA on Monday regarding the 2026 World Cup qualifiers, Bafana Bafana are now in the clear as they are not facing any punishment from FIFA. South Africa lead the qualification group with 17 points, 3 ahead of Benin, who sit in second position, and 6 more than Nigeria, with 2 qualifying matches remaining. Now, 4 points from the matches against Zimbabwe as well as Rwanda, or even 3 points, will be enough for Bafana Bafana to qualify for the World Cup for the very first time since hosting this event back in 2010. And finally, in case you missed it, the British Grand Prix will be one of the 6 sprint events on this year's Formula One calendar. Now, Silverstone last hosted a sprint race back in 2021, the year the format was introduced. Now, the biggest surprise is the addition of Singapore to the sprint schedule. The difficulty of overtaking at a street circuit does not automatically make it look like a natural fit for a sprint event. Now, the other races to hold sprints in 2026 will be China, Miami, Canada, as well as the Netherlands, which is dropping from the calendar as of next season. The 2026 schedule features 24 races and was published earlier in June of this year. Well, that concludes your sports news this hour. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, don't forget to send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11714 4459. I'm back with more sports news in the next hour for Channel Africa Sport. I am Mosito Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. This September, Channel Africa celebrates Heritage Month, a time to honor the stories, the rhythms, and the languages that make us who we are. Whether you're in Lagos or the shores of Zanzibar, to the mountains of Lesotho or the markets of Dakar, we are united in diversity.
Najivunia kuwa Mwafrika.
Kukondolera Afrika ndiye nduwake.
Proudly African and fabulous.
Let us preserve our languages. Let's embrace our uniqueness. Let's embrace our cultures and celebrate the beauty of our continent. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
37 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. Buntle Headbush is standing by with the latest in business news.
Business news on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Thanks, Tebogo, and a very good afternoon to our listeners. In our top story at this hour, Nigeria's finance ministry has ordered the immediate suspension of a levy on all imported goods, which companies had said would raise the cost of doing business and stall economic recovery efforts. Finance Minister Wale Edun said in a directive issued late on Monday that the 4% free on-board levy introduced by the Nigeria Customs Service last month should be suspended to address the concerns raised by businesses. He says the suspension will allow for a comprehensive review of the levy's framework and its broader economic implications. South African Transport Minister Barbara Creecy has granted long-term leases to oil majors and traders, including BP, at the Island View Precinct, which is part of the Durban port on the east coast and acts as South Africa's main storage and supply hub. This was at the request of the Fuels Industry Association of South Africa, FIASA. About 70% of South Africa's fuel imports flow through the Island View Precinct. FIASA says the lease agreements end years of wrangling over short-term leases that threatened investment and security of supply in the country. The Business Unity South Africa says it will challenge the withdrawing of draft regulations to the National Credit Act. The Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, Park Stau's decision was informed by more than 20,000 submissions opposed to the proposed regulations. The rejection was sparked by Sub-Regulation 7 that would permit registered credit bureaus to receive consumer credit information from, among others, educational institutions. Critics says this provision would result in graduates being blacklisted from loans and jobs. BUSA CEO Kulegani Mate has accused the minister of yielding to political pressure, warning that the withdrawal will delay critical support for SMEs.
That provision has been in the statute since 2006. And in the 19 years, we're not aware of universities having handed over student debt data to credit bureaus. This is why we're saying that the regulations that were really intended to make it easy for banks and other credit providers to lend to SMEs were withdrawn on the back of something that's not what was being introduced.
Higher Education Minister in South Africa, Buti Manamela, believes the escalating student debt is a potential crisis in the country. The student debt owed to the National Students Financial Aid Scheme is currently around $1.67 billion. Manamela says they have noted the withdrawal of the draft National Credit Act amendment regulations by Trade and Industry Minister Park Stau. The regulations would have seen students who owed money to higher learning institutions being listed on credit bureaus. Manamela hopes the decision won't have implications.
We understood the regulations being released for public discussion, and we were planning to, as the department, to also make our submissions. We were quite concerned, and I had a conversation with Minister Tau about it, and he assured me that he will have conversations with the student movement, with the youth, and so on and so forth, and subsequently did. We, note that the regulations have since been withdrawn. We hope that it does not have implications on the other intentions that the regulations sought to achieve.
The world's fourth biggest company, Alphabet, which owns Google, has announced plans to invest $7 billion in Britain's artificial intelligence infrastructure. A $1 billion data center will formally open today outside London. Google's president, Ruth Porat, says the impact of AI would be profound.
AI can be a partner to make each one of us more productive. And in the healthcare area, you can see it firsthand. From the work that we've done, we see you can save ballpark 30% of their time that's devoted to administrative tasks. What if that's devoted to you as a patient? It's better for the nurses, it's better for the patient.
And now for a look at the indicators. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,501 naira. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 19. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 33. And in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha 87. Moving to the BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 Rial 35. Russia, 83 rubles 89. In India, it's 88 rupees 27. China, 7 yuan 12. And South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 35 cents. $1 is trading at 73 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,696 per ounce, and platinum at $1,411 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $67.27 a barrel this afternoon. And those are your business news. For any business news stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459 for Channel Africa Business. I am Buntle Headbush.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Channel Africa, your voice, your sound, and your home. Stay logged right here. Africa in Business on Channel Africa.
The United States was very vocal at the beginning of South Africa's G20 presidency, and this is largely due to strained relations with South Africa at the time, that they were not really keen on participating. Where do they stand right now?
The U.S. is planning to take over the presidency of the G20 next year, and our understanding from them is that they intend to continue to do so, and therefore it is quite difficult then to be in a situation where you are not attending deputies' meetings or discussions during our presidency and then to take over the presidency next year. From a finance track perspective, there has been engagement. We've been working on a communique last week and this week here in Zimbabwe. What's important about that is that it's a consensus document. And so all the members in the room have to agree to the language that is used there. And our US colleagues have been part of those discussions and negotiations.
Bringing the African markets into your home. Channel Africa, the African perspective. We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the upside.
Anybody way won't fight you, may they come, they already know. I'll be right beside you, like the wall of Jericho. They don't know, they don't know, they don't know what's going on. Monagiso, my baby boo. I'll be a soldier for you. I'm getting better in Kung Fu. You should know I got you, and you don't need to guide me too. I'll be right beside you in anything that you do. If you ever need saving, I will be running to you, running to you. I'll be running to you, running to you. Anywhere that you go to, running to you. I'll be running to you, running to you. Anywhere that you go to.
When I'm looking for trouble, it's cause I know that I got you. Wanting more best everybody, and it's because of your kung fu. And anytime that I'm out of control, you hold me down. You never let go. Yeah. Munagiso, my baby boo. See all the battles you'll be fighting, and I'll be right there with you. I may be small, but I'm mighty, and I go run for you. And anybody ways happy, yeah, don't be you, pull it up, be alright. And if I ever need saving, I'll be running to you.
Running to you. I'll be running to you, running to you. Anywhere that you go to, running to you. I'll be running to you, running to you. Anywhere that you go to, you don't need to worry. Anything you want,
Sundown to sundown, love me no go round down.
Hey, anytime you come to me, baby, I go answer.
Any other brother, baby, you make them run away.
And if you want me coming to you, I go come to you.
Oh, you wanna see me, baby, don't choose me.
Tell me what you want, baby say I'm not in my
Are you ready? Are you ready?
47 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. Running to You, Chike, featuring Simi there. Beautiful music coming to you on The Upside this afternoon, the Tuesday edition of The Upside, your gateway to the good life. Thank you so much for tuning in this afternoon. We are live on our social media platforms, so you can check us out. Check out the studio at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. It's time for Vent O'Clock. Get it off your chest so you can live a lighter life. I've got something on my chest. It's not really a vent, but it's going to lead to a vent. If that makes sense. Okay.
Okay. You're listening.
How old do you think you need to be to end up on a banknote, your country's banknote?
I don't think there's an age limit.
You don't think there's an age limit?
No, I don't think so.
But you must have amassed, you must have done something
I mean,
noteworthy.
You definitely have to perhaps at least, at the very least, come from an iconic family. You know, where there is, where there's a lineage of business or, you know, changing the world in some shape or form, I would imagine. So I don't think it's an age thing necessarily. My guess, my good guess, is that it's not about age, it's about legacy.
In Botswana, in celebration of 50 years of Botswana, the Pula, they placed this young man by the name of Tebogo Letsile.
I thought Tebogo.
No, not me. Tebogo Letsile. You may have remembered not too long ago, he became the first Botswanan Olympian gold medalist in the 200 meters. Botswana had never won gold medal in Olympic.
Okay.
He won the first ever Olympic champion for Botswana. Right, this was in 2024, and he was the athlete of the year as well. Well, he featured on Botswana's 50 Pula. Right, they got his face there. It's pretty cool, right? In actual fact, it's the 50 Rand Pula. You know how South Africans just love plugging themselves into spaces that they don't need to.
The 50 Rand version.
The 50 Rand Pula. That's it. For us,
wow. Oh my goodness. 50 Rand Kwacha.
Yeah, 50 Rand Kwacha. and I kickstart my vent. I'll leave it there because I want to continue with my vent after this. It's 10 minutes before 2 p.m. Central African Time. Keep that in mind. South Africans wanting to plug themselves into every single space. Don't go anywhere.
We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628.
Darubini ya Afrika na I am Henry Shakif.
Dar es Salaam siku ya leo ni ya kijani.
Ya kabisa, Tanzania nzima macho ni hapa, na mkutano wa leo umeshika karibu 90% ya vyombo vyote vya habari viko hapa kusubiri kusikia ni kitu gani hasa ambacho CCM itakisema katika siku ya kwanza ya grand opening ya uzinduzi wa kampeni zake kitaifa.
Rais wa Tanzania Samia Suluhu Hassan ameidhinishwa kuwania kiti cha urais katika uchaguzi utakaofanyika Oktoba 29 mwaka huu na tume ya uchaguzi. Hili unalizungumzia vipi?
Ila kwanza lilitarajiwa, ni jambo liko wazi kwa sababu Rais Samia ndiye aliyepata idhini ya kuteuliwa na Chama cha Mapinduzi kupeperusha bendera ya chama.
Darubini ya Afrika 11 kamili hadi 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
The Upside with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mosito, bringing Africa's voices to the world. On Channel Africa, the African perspective.
All right, 9 minutes before 2 p.m. Central African Time. Let's continue our conversation. It's not even a conversation. Let's continue Vent O'Clock. I was saying earlier that South Africans love to plug themselves into spaces that have nothing to do with them. They're within. I was watching a TikTok video this morning. The account's name is anglerfish.tf, right, on TikTok. and he was just laughing at the fact that South Africans in TikTok comment sections, they are everywhere to be found. The conversation could be about fish and somewhere in Nigeria or somewhere in Switzerland. They could be talking about cheese rolling there in Norway and Switzerland. But in that comment section, in that video, South Africa will always announce itself. They'll be like, South Africa, let's gather here. That's the one, the popular one. South Africa, let's gather here. I'm from South Africa. I like cheese or whatever. Nikona, are you here? Have you
yes, actually, that is so true. On TikTok, that is quite a thing. South Africans, are you? Even in something that is not even relatable.
Got nothing to do with South Africans are plugging themselves in TikTok comments.
You know what I think?
Every single aspect.
Okay, in our defense, no. I'm going to defend us.
Okay.
In our defense,
yes,
we are very international in many ways. I mean, think about. Okay, let me see if I can think of the greatest innovators in the world come from South Africa.
That's true. That's a fact.
South Africa.
Yes.
You know, scientists.
Yes.
You know, neuroscientists, people that have come up with very successful vaccination research and all of that.
Absolutely, yes.
South Africa. So and that already.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this is now I'm talking academic, sport. You know, and all those fraternities. Because of that, we have already plugged ourselves into the rest of the world. So why not? Why not just, go full throttle and just announce ourselves wherever we go?
And that's fine.
Yes.
And that's fine. All I'm saying is that you don't see any other country outside of South Africa showing up as much as South Africans do in the comment section. There's no other. You don't see Angola saying, Angolans, let's come together. Brazilians, let's come together. It's only South Africans. The post could be from Brazil, Peru. It could be Argentina.
In a foreign language.
And then we're like, Nikona, South Africans, let's gather.
I love it. I love it for us. Listen, we are international. So in our defense, we just relate to everybody.
Yeah.
And also, if you just look at the kaleidoscope of our country and the dynamics of our country, we host many different people, not just from the African continent, but literally from all over the world.
That's true.
You know, Madagascar, Brazil, everywhere. So I understand why we plug ourselves everywhere.
All right. That's my vet there. South Africans plugging them anywhere and everywhere on TikTok. In the comment section, trust me right now, if you were to go on any video right now on TikTok and just go to the comment section, you will find South Africa there. The flag will be there. Nikona, are you here? South Africa, let's gather here. That comment will be there.
And it's not just about I'm commenting and want to highlight that I'm from South Africa. I want to call other South Africans as well to join in, you know. I'm here. Are you too? Are you here as well? If you're not here, I'm recruiting you so you can be here. So I think it's very cute. I think it's endearing.
I love it.
It's what makes us us, right?
We stand out. We are the entertainment on it. Without South Africans, TikTok would be boring. Let's be honest.
No.
Without South Africans, social media would be boring.
We should be one of the highest paid.
In fact, we must just say also, without Africans, it would be boring. Anyway, what caught your eye? Not even what caught your eye. What do you want to vent about? That's what caught your eyes next hour. Yes. What do you want to vent about?
I don't have a vent today. Would you believe it?
Really? Okay.
I think maybe because I had a scrumptious lunch, so I'm in a good mood. I'm in a good mood. Right. Maybe actually my vent, speaking about food, is there aren't enough delicious plant-forward options on restaurant menus. Perhaps that's actually my thing. I really struggle.
That's true.
To get a decent. I mean, when you go on any really amazing reputable eatery or restaurant, and you look at their vegetarian options, for example.
Yeah.
It's like boring stuff that you can do at home, like
steamed broccoli, steamed veggies.
No, they don't even have that. I mean, even that would be super amazing and fancy. They've got things like ever on toast. I mean, come on. Ever on toast. And then they put a little V next to it.
Yes,
or
yes,
they're like
yes.
mushroom. Like, oh, come on with it. Get more creative, Give me I don't know, a delicious puttanesca with some, I don't know, falafel balls that you put some thought into. Plant forward meals. Is all we're asking Bagwetu, because this way of eating is not only African, but it's also becoming more popular. You see,
fair enough.
So
Fair
you need that on your menu, and you also need to have made an effort, because even if you are going to serve me ever on toast, just, I don't know, do something to the ever. Make it like a guac, add lemon, add nutritional yeast, add salt and pepper, zhuzh it up, put some microgreens on top, make it look delicioso. Don't just serve it to me like we're thinking I'm at my house somewhere and I just used a little fork and that was that. Because also I'm paying for the experience.
Well, you are.
I'm paying for the meal, but I'm also paying for the experience. So make it worth my while. Make it worth it, because as much as there are eateries and restaurants and companies that have budgets, you can throw money at all your problems. You've got all the billboards and all of that. Your greatest asset and your greatest marketing tool will forever be word of mouth. I'm going to tell my friend Tebogo I had a great ever on toast at number what restaurant. I think that counts for something.
A call to the chefs now to be a bit more creative on that front, because even in our own social settings, and for example, you come to a braai at my place. It's always very challenging to cater to the plant-forward people.
Yeah, people don't know what to do.
We don't know. We're just going to roast corn. That's all we're going to do. Just mealy there. We're going to roast that.
Are you full? Are you sure you're going to be full with just that?
That's all we're going to do. Because what else? We don't know. We're going to maybe a potato bake or something. So, we need to, as chefs, as people who cook, we need to be a bit more serious, a bit more creative and explore other options, because it can't be that when we think about plant-based food, it's always boring and bland. I refuse to believe that, because you've made some suggestions that I'm like, wow, I'd never thought of doing that with
There's a lot to do.
And plants. Okay.
There's a lot to do, I promise you. So just a call for restaurants to be more plant-forward, but also just intentional with how you put together these meals. Don't just give me 2-ingredient something and then charge me 200 Rand for it. That's not going to be. That's not very nice. It's not very neighborly.
It's not neighborly at all. Our neighbor Onelin is standing by. It's 2 p.m. Central African Time with the latest news.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, neighbor. Looking at your top stories, voting continues across Malawi today, and Kenyan High Court issues an arrest warrant for a British national. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. Voting continues across Malawi with all 15,148 polling stations open and operating smoothly. In her first briefing to the nation since the polls opened earlier, Malawi Electoral Commission Justice Annabel Mtalimanja has reported a satisfactory turnout. Mtalimanja said that while a few centres experienced queuing delays at opening time, these issues have since been resolved. The MEC is urging all registered voters who haven't yet voted to do so before polls closing time today. She has added, cases where stations opened late, voting time will be extended accordingly.
We have noted that voting is progressing well, and we trust that is a reflection of the entire country. We will continue monitoring throughout the day. Our expectation is that voting will continue undisturbed until polling closes at 4 p.m. For the centers that opened later than 6 a.m., we'll extend the time to compensate for the delay. As polling progresses, we wish to appeal to the nation to maintain peace and calm. The Commission is managing everything to ensure that every Malawian who registered gets to cast their vote in peace.
The High Court in South Africa's capital, Pretoria, has dismissed with course the Lungu family's bid for leave to appeal to the Supreme Court of Appeal, a High Court judgment that ruled that the Zambian government is entitled to repatriating Lungu's body for a state funeral and burial. The family turned to the High Court, arguing, amongst other things, that the battle over the remains of the former president raised significant questions of law that needed to be resolved by the appellate court. Kenny Mapanga reports.
The High Court, however, in its judgment disagreed, finding that there were no reasonable prospects of success and that the matter is so fact-specific that there is very little to no prospects that the same set of facts will confront a court again. The family has the option of trying to petition the SCA. If that fails, they also have the option of the Concourt. Failure to exercise these options means that the full bench judgment still stands and the Zambian government can begin to execute the order.
Police have physically removed the Gambia's Auditor General, Mamadou Cisse, from his office after he refused to give up the post in a government reshuffle carried out by President Adama Barrow. Cisse, who has spent almost 3 years as Auditor General in the country, says he had turned down Barrow's recent offer to become Trade Minister. The role has angered many Gambians, with some accusing the president of trying to replace Cisse with someone who will shield him from corruption allegations. The president has promoted the Director of Internal Audit, Kano Amadou Sow, to the post of Auditor General, but he has not reported to work following the public backlash. The Commission of Inquiry to determine whether attempts were made to prevent the investigation and prosecution of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission cases in South Africa is set to begin its hearings on the 10th of November. The Commission has called on all interested and affected parties to file witness statements, memoranda, reports and any other relevant documentation and evidence by the 10th of next month. And lastly, a Kenyan High Court has issued an arrest warrant for a British national who is suspected of murdering a 21-year-old woman who, more than a decade ago, Agnes Wanjiru, was killed in March 2012 and her body later found in a septic tank of a hotel in the central garrison town of Nanyuki nearly 3 months after she had allegedly spent an evening partying with the British soldiers. Justice Alexander Muteti said prosecutors had provided sufficient evidence to request that the suspect appears before a Kenyan court for trial. The judge directed that the identities of the accused and witnesses must not be published, saying this was necessary in order to protect the integrity of the trial. Now, recapping on your top stories, voting continues across Malawi today with all 15,148 polling stations open and operating smoothly. Channel Africa News, I'm Oneli Nsinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
We're 6 minutes into 2 p.m. in Central African Time. Welcome, dear Upsider. Wonderful to have you join us. Otherwise, if you've been with us since the start of the show at 1 p.m., good that you followed on, because we are going to be looking at artistic spaces with a very dramatic artistic and literary rights organization. Well, they've come together with the University of the Witwatersrand, or Wits University Press as it's known, and the Market Theatre, as well as other partnerships. I believe the Centre for Creative Arts is also involved in the unveiling of the first edition of the Cantemba Merit Award Anthology, titled When Water Wants To. That's the title of this anthology, When Water Wants To. Okay, it is, wow, a collection featuring 10 short stories chosen from 250 entries by a jury. So we're going to look at, the work of Ken Temba. We're going to look at the creative arts, and also how this collection is going to be archived. And also how it filters into the space of the Wits University Press, as it were. So we're going to be joined by the publisher, I believe. Neil Copen is the publisher of this particular press. So we're going to be speaking to him, and he's going to tell us more about this. He's going to tell us more about the Ken Temba Merit Award as well. So there's just a lot to celebrate. I love it.
Exciting conversation. This we'll be in conversation with
Ishmael. I beg your pardon. Ishmael
Mahome, director at Center for Creative Arts, and also Dionzo Quinika, inaugural Dalro Ken Temba Merit Award winner himself. What I love about this initiative is the fact that the winner of this, this whole process, there's an opportunity there for them to turn that book into a whole theatre production, and turn it into. And I love that. Have you ever written a book or written a story and thought, I think this would be fantastic on stage, remade, not just in word, not just in theatre, not just in script in word form, but when you write a book, do you not see the characters in your head and think that
and
visually
hear their voices?
It would be fantastic?
It really would be. But I think also, just in note of the work of Ken Temba, that is the natural progression to move from text to actual full production. Yes. I think that is the best way to honor this work. So it's going to be such a wonderful conversation. Also, I believe it's already launched, so we're going to also tribute that and find out how that went. So it's going to be good.
100%. It's 9 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Literature.
I love it for you.
Literature lovers. Literature lovers. The next conversation is for you. Welcome to the golden hour, the second hour of The Upside.
Midday vibes, great programming, and good company. This is Channel Africa. Africa, meet Abedi.
Yeah, that's me.
Abedi is a music lover through and through.
I really love African music.
He's got a taste for all kinds of tunes and spends his days listening to Channel Africa. Guess what? He didn't know.
Okay.
Channel Africa wants to help Abedi and all music lovers everywhere to discover even more incredible music. That is why Channel Africa is calling on all African musicians to submit their music. Musicians, remember to give us all your relevant information. Make your submissions at music@channelafrica.co.za. Submissions are your chance to be heard on radio. But sadly, they do not guarantee that you will be playlisted. All submissions will be carefully reviewed to see if they meet our station's requirement. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Your afternoons just got even better, fresh and exciting. The Upside, hooking you up with today's news from an African perspective.
Dance floor. Make you give me that love. If you give me, I no go let go. Make you give me, make I get my zanko. Feelings got me hitting on the freaky dance floor. Diallo. If I give you my love, make you no disappoint. Me, I got you for mine, though. Diallo. If I give you my love, make you no disappoint. Me, I got you for mine. excited. Loving you, they put me on a different mindset. Girl, not only you, they make me stick to one girl. Goddamn, and I need you again, goddamn. Picture perfect, no they mind them. Keep it private, fuck on ballet. If you need me, baby, I'll be right there. One more time for my lady, you. Bump back, showing you the baby, you. Do me many things till they hear me, you. I'm ready if you're ready to. Give me that love. If you give me, I don't go let go. Give me, make I girl my sanko. Feelings got me hitting on the freaky dance floor. Make you give me that love. If you give me, I don't go let go. Make you give me, make I girl my sanko. Feelings got me hitting on the freaky dance floor. Diallo, diallo. If I give you my love, make you no disappoint. Me, I got you for mine, though. Diallo, diallo. If I give you my love, make you no disappoint. Me, I got you for mine, though, my mind, though. So many people want lick my stew, so baby, chew, make I survey your tools. And if I undo your 2x2, you fit to scream, you can lose in your cool. So many reasons are written in the stars. Oh my God, you're the reason I do what I do. So baby, make you give me your love. Make you give me that love. If you give me, I no go let go. Give me, make I kill my sanko. Feelings got me hitting on a freaky dance floor. Make you give me that love. If you give me, I no go let go. Make you give me, make I kill my sanko. Feelings got me hitting on a freaky dance floor. Diallo, diallo. If I give you my love, make you no disappoint. Me, I got you for mine, though. Diallo, diallo. If I give you my love, make you no disappoint. Me, I got you for mine, though, my mind, though.
14 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Ira Star and Wizkid there giving you Gimme That. Gimme That too. Gimme That. Gimme That song. The name of the song is Gimme That. Give me some content. Give me some good vibes. Give me some energy. Gimme that.
Now, I want to know when are you and I going to learn Pidgin? Pidgin is a big deal. Do you know that the BBC has news segments in Pidgin online? Yeah.
Oh, really?
There's BBC News Pidgin.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yes, where you go on there and you read the news and it's like United Kingdom and Ireland, BBA, Nanagogo, Bia oh. And it's written in full-on Pidgin. It's a thing.
Okay. All right, we need to jump on that bandwagon very quickly, very soon. But who can we reach out to? Who can we reach out to help us with that?
We need to phone our good friend Adetunji Omotola, who is the founding president of the Nigerian Gate Professionals in South Africa. He will be able to link us with people that can teach us Pidgin. He would be happy to do it, but I don't think he's got the time.
No, Mr. Jollof Wars.
Mr. Jollof Wars himself. He know Pidgin like the back of his hand.
All
But
right.
yes.
Let's get into some important conversations, one that you are very excited about.
Very excited, okay, as we celebrate new voices in South African literature with the launch of When Water Wants To. This is the first anthology from the Cantemba Merit Award, and it features 10 standout short stories, just by the way, selected from over 250 entries. And as we understand it, it's a really well put together collection highlighting fresh, imaginative talent. Very, very important. And also, the winning story will be brought to life on stage through a collection with Market Theatre. A collaboration, I beg your pardon, collaboration with the Market Theatre, and we're going to be having a discussion and unpacking some of the key figures from the literary community and really talking about what this is all about. So it is wonderful for us to catch up at this time with our guest who joins us on the line. We've got Ishmael Mahome, director at Center for Creative Arts, joining us on the line. Welcome to the show. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Absolute pleasure. Looking forward to chatting to you about wonderful project, the Dalro Kantemba Merit Award for
Yes.
short story writing.
And we also have Dionzo Quinica, the inaugural Dalro Kantemba Merit Award winner. Dionzo, thank you so much for your time. Welcome to the Upside.
Thank you for having me. And yeah, it's a great feeling to be here.
Thank you to you both. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the time. I want to start with, either of you can answer this question. When it comes to the work of Kantemba, we know him as a groundbreaking South African writer and journalist, best known for his powerful short stories that captured the realities of the apartheid era and the apartheid life, as it were. So let's talk about the creation of the Kantemba Merit Award and the inspiration to create an anthology.
Sure. The Dalro is the dramatic arts, artistic literary rights organization in South Africa, which is a collection agency for royalties and copyrights on live performances and publications. They wanted to initiate a short story competition to honor the legacy of Kantemba. They approached the Center for Creative Arts, which is the host of the 29-year-old Time of the Writer Festival, one of the oldest and largest literary festivals in South Africa. We conceptualized a competition for them, and which they then fully supported, incredibly generously and with passion. So much so that we had an opportunity to inform, educate our audiences about the incredible legacy of Kantemba through various events that we presented at the Time of the Writer Festival and beyond. And then, of course, was the culmination of this competition, resulting in the publication of this remarkable anthology with 10 young voices, 10 new stories, and which will then continue to have a life for the rest of this year and next year in different ways as byproducts of this particular project.
We are currently in conversation with Ishmael Mahome, director at the Center for Creative Arts, and Dionzo Quinica, the inaugural Dalro Kantemba Merit Award winner. We'll continue the conversation with them right after this.
Call us on +27 63 406 9126 and contribute to the conversation. Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine, weekdays 6 till 9.
Former politician and diplomat. He's the leader of the Democratic Alliance Party at one stage, and also served as South Africa's ambassador to Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay. Ambassador Tony Leon, if you were party leader now and in the GNU, what would you be pushing for?
I can speak with some direct experience because, as you might know, I was actually one of the negotiators of the GNU last year when it was formed. What I'd be pushing for is to hold the government or the president's feet to the fire on actually operationalizing the agreement that was implemented. Unfortunately, that agreement has been honored only in its breach. And I think, go back to basics and just say, okay, we're not going any further with this arrangement until we actually implement these steps.
Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine. Whatever you want to hear about today's talk, you can only get it on the Upside. Every weekday, 2 to 5 p.m. Central African Time.
20 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Now, the short story has always been a cornerstone of South Africa's literacy tradition, capturing complexities of life in powerful, compact narratives. Now that legacy continues as we started the conversation with the launch of the very first Kantemba Merit Award anthology, When Water Wants To. Selected from over 250 entries, the collection showcases 10 compelling short stories, edited by Neil Copen and published by Wits University Press. Beyond celebrating literary craft, the initiative bridges literature and performance, with the Market Theatre committing to adapt the winning story for this stage. And we are currently joined by Ishmael Mahome, director at the Center for Creative Arts, and Dionzo Quinica, the inaugural Dalro Kantemba Merit Award winner. Dionzo, let's go to you. Congratulations, by the way. way, for being that first winner and the recipient of the Can Temba Merit Award. How did it feel winning it, and how has your life changed since that day?
Wow, just being announced as the winner, it was one of those moments where I began not being able to distinguish whether I was still dreaming or it was actually happening. But yeah, winning the Daro King Temba, having read some of King Temba's powerful short stories such as The Dube Train, Mob Passion, The Suit, I think from the moment the opportunity to enter for such a competition presented itself, I was just digging in on the power of King Temba's ability, with on how he was able to sort of observe the society from a moral standpoint. And for me, it's an honor and a responsibility, and it ties my work into a tradition that I respect. And I think that the takeaway from all of this is to keep going.
The suits, definitely one of my favorites, Dionza. So beautiful. Let's turn to you, Ishmael. Talk to us about just the selection process. How were the 10 stories selected from such a vast pool of entries? I would imagine that wasn't easy. Hey.
Oh, certainly not. Particularly when we got such an overwhelming response of more than 250 stories in a very small window since we opened the competition. We put together a wonderful array of writers and people who are passionate about literature, but also passionate about young people and new writing, to adjudicate every single story. We shortlisted initially from the 250 down to 50, then down to 30, and then finally from the 30 we arrived at the final 10. What is particularly interesting about this process was that the judges had no clue about the race, the gender, the age of the writers. They adjudicated blindly and arrived at the selection, and we were indeed very grateful that the good Lord was with us, and we ended up with a superb representation of voices that were representative of the demographics of our country. And I think it's very rarely that competitions are adjudicated in this particular way, where you have no indication of where the writer's roots are or the demographics, because very often if you have that, it does influence your reading of the text, because you see it through particular lenses. In this particular case, the adjudicators had no indication of who the person is, whether it's a male or a female, whether the person's an Indian, an African, a colored, or a white person writing the story. You just had to adjudicate it on its merit. The judges that we had included authors like Nikum Mhlongo, who's one of South Africa's leading writers, Shafinas Hassan, Greg Homan, who's the artistic director of the Market Theatre Foundation, Neil Coppen, who is the editor of this particular anthology, Lorraine Sitoli, Lynn Jaffe. So with an array of 7 wonderful adjudicators like that, it was quite a lot of robust discussion. And of course, we had a representative from Dalro in each of the adjudication meetings, observing the process to ensure that we were completely fair through and held the process with integrity.
Dionzo, what was your winning formula? What was the winning story? We'd love to hear, because you were the inaugural Delro Can Temba Merit Award winner. What did it take to get to that podium?
Wow. I'm from a township called Orlando West in Soweto.
Yeah.
And I think one of my favorite places to go to, especially when I need some inspiration to write, it is the Hector Peterson Memorial Museum, because it is a place that really demonstrates the power of young people when they have a common goal and a common cause. So when I went there, I think that the question that really kicked in was that if the youth of 1976 could ask me today, what would I like to tell them about what has changed or about the world that I'm living in, which type of story would I want to write? And I think that question together with the sounds of township, the music and the shape of family failures really sort of inspired the whole story. So I think that what I can describe as the winning formula is that, when I write, I visit the place that I'm writing about. For example, the story, it is set in an informal settlement. So I'd find myself maybe being there to absorb the environment, so that when I put it on paper, it is not something that the reader only reads, but it is something that the reader feels like they've lived in it. So I think that those are some of the winning formulas, if I can put it in that way, is to live, is to write the story that you live, and to go and search for the people that live it, and from there you can take notes, and you can find a way to build up such a real body of work, if I can put it in that way.
Wow. I can't wait to get my hands on this anthology. It sounds not only important, but it just sounds like you want to be immersed in the stories in When Water Wants To. So just as we're about to get into the finale of our conversation, Ismail, let's talk about how other emerging writers can get involved in future editions of this award, because not only is it good at keeping the iconic story of Kentemba alive and really showcasing what other writing talent is out there, but also it's creating opportunities. So we would want to get in if we can. Tell us how.
Sure. I think what has been particularly phenomenal around this particular project here is the generosity of Dalro. They didn't just ask us to administer a competition, but they were fully invested in it, in the sense that once we identified the top 10 writers who were going to be published, we had a series of workshops with the 10 writers, on refining the text before it's submitted as a final manuscript. They had workshops that dealt with issues around publishing, around how to access other literature festivals. So it was a career-building exercise, but also it was incredibly generous of Dalro to bring all 10 writers to the launch. Very often, due to austerity measures and budgets and so forth, it's often just the editor and maybe one writer that's brought to the launch. In this case, we had all 10 writers that were brought to the launch. It was a celebratory event, but more than that, Dion's is going to go on with a dramaturge to adapt the work into a play script for the Market Theatre. But more than that, he also would be representing the Time of the Writer Festival and Dalro at the Bergen International Literature Festival in Norway.
Wow.
So what the objective of this particular project is to give the writers exposure, opportunity, career growth, but then to launch them onto the international platform. And we think this is a superb motivation for writers next year. And I think if we ended up with 250 this year, now that people know what the benefits are, I'm sure we can end up with more than 250 manuscripts next year.
Yes,
I think the
definitely.
advice I would give a young writer is continue to watch the social media pages of the Center for Creative Arts, the Time of the Writer, the Wits University Press, Dalro, and the Market Theatre. Because as collaborative partners to this project here, we are all passionate about ensuring that the livelihoods of our artists is always at the forefront of the work that we do.
All right. To the both of you, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. The voices of Ismail Mahome, director at the Center for Creative Arts, and Dionzo Kwinika, the inaugural Dalro Kentemba Merit Award winner. Go check out their social media platforms. You want to follow the story and how it all unfolds from the top 10 to an overall winner. Let's get the latest sports news now. It's 31 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Musibudi Makura is standing by.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you so much, Tebogo. Very good afternoon from the sports desk. Well, the Pakistan women's cricket team earlier on won the toss and chose to bat first in the opening one-day international series against the Proteas women's side at the Gaddafi Stadium in Lahore. It is the first game of the three-match series and is essentially a build-up for both teams ahead of the 2025 ICC Women's Cricket World Cup that is taking place in India as well as Sri Lanka starting at the end of the month. Now, the Proteas captain Nora Wolford earlier spoke earlier in the week, should I say, about the performance of the series is getting used to the conditions on the subcontinent ahead of the global showpiece. So both teams will be hoping to give a good account of themselves at this year's competition, with that World Cup obviously on the horizon, co-hosted by India as well as Sri Lanka. So currently looking at the score at the moment, Sri Lanka on 149 for the loss of one wicket. That's after 30 overs out in Lahore. On to some athletics news. Olympic 200-meter champion Tebogo of Botswana says he has accepted his disqualification in the 100-meter final and is now focusing on the next race in the 200-meter on Wednesday. The Botswana superstar admitted it had been a very tough year, battling injuries as well as other setbacks, but he remains positive. Tebogo said that despite the false start in Sunday's final, he's ready to move forward and focus on the rest of the season.
Yeah, man, I'm good for the two. The 100 showed me that we are fully 100% okay. With the rounds, how it went, with the 995 that we ran, it shows that there's 100% okay. I just need to go into the 200, execute the same race that I've did in Nanda and I've did in also in Paris.
At the same time, American sprint star Noah Lau says he's not too bothered by the colour of the medal he received at the World Senior Athletics Championships in Tokyo on Sunday after finishing third in the men's 100-meter final. Jamaica's oblique silver ended a decade-long wait for gold since the legendary Usain Bolt storming to victory in a time of 9.77 seconds, which also happened to be his personal best time. So his compatriot Keshawn Thompson followed in a time of 9.82 seconds for the silver medal, while Laos was in third, the defending champion settling for a bronze medal, this one in a time of 9.89 seconds. So Laos said he's content and is not too worried about the medal colour, insisting it does not define his character.
You got to put a smile on your face. Just because you're going through hard times doesn't mean that you can't smile. I was listening to a sermon once and they said, happy is a verb. It's in the moment. Joyful is a state of being. I'm going to be joyful. No matter if I lost today, no matter if I won today, the color of the medal does not change the color of my character, and it doesn't change how life is going.
On to local football news now. The South African Betway Premiership resumed on Sunday after a 2-week break for the FIFA international window, and the MTN8 with Mamelodi Sundowns going top of the log with a 3-0 victory over Makezi FC on Sunday. But there are two teams now snapping at the heels of the Mamelodi Sundowns side. That is, of course, Kaizer Chiefs as well as Sekhukhune United, who clash at the FNB Stadium tonight. Now, Chiefs are enjoying their best season so far in a decade, and the coach of the side, Nesruddin Nabi, has stressed the importance of maintaining that momentum against the Limpopo-based outfit. Here he is speaking ahead of tonight's encounter.
I would say that I wasn't present physically, but I was present in the collaboration with my technical staff, because there are people that we follow the same game management, and probably because I have a technical staff that is competent. That's why there is no loophole that have been noticed in my absence.
And finally, the British Grand Prix will be the one of 6 sprint events on next year's Formula One calendar. Now, Silverstone last hosted a sprint race back in 2021, the year the format was introduced. Now, the biggest surprise is the addition of Singapore to the sprint schedule. Now, the other races to hold sprints in 2026 will be China, Miami, Canada, as well as the Netherlands, which is dropping off the calendar after next season. The 2026 schedule features 24 races and was published in June of this year. It's 14:36 p.m. Central African Time, and concludes your sports news this hour. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, don't forget to send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Alternatively, give us a call. The newsroom line is +27 11714 4459. I'm back with the final sports update on the upside in the third and final hour of the show. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosito Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Parlez-vous couramment le français? Êtes-vous passionné par la radio? Et êtes-vous qualifié pour travailler en Afrique du Sud? Envoyez-nous votre CV et vos 3 minutes démo en MP3 à @channelafrica.co.za pour avoir une chance de rejoindre la famille Channel Africa. Si vous n'avez pas de réponse après 14 jours, cela signifie que vous n'avez pas été retenu. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
37 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Let's find out how the markets are moving now. Buntle Hedbush is standing by.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thanks, Tebogo. Good afternoon. Our top story. Nigeria's finance ministry has ordered the immediate suspension of a levy on all imported goods, which companies had said would raise costs of doing business and stall economic recovery efforts. Finance Minister Wale Edun said in a directive issued late on Monday that the 4% free on board levy introduced by the Nigeria Customs Services last month should be suspended to address the concerns raised by businesses. He says a suspension will allow for a comprehensive review of the levy's framework and its broader economic implications. Environmental activists say they want their voices heard as South Africa's top court considers the future of oil exploration along the country's wild coast. They marched outside the Constitutional Court in Johannesburg, protesting over Shell's plans to drill for oil and gas in the area. The matter has been set down for 2 days of arguments, with the outcome set to shape oil exploration rights in the country. Activist and leader of Amadiba Crisis Committee, Nonhle Mbotuma, says coastal communities have been sidelined in decisions that directly affect their livelihoods and the environment.
Now, if our government and also Shell, they must listen to the people on the ground, because here we're dependent from the ocean. Once you do oil and gas, that means there will be no livelihood for us. Why we need to compromise our livelihood for short term? Whereas we do have alternative, which is agriculture, which is tourism, that it can sustain our communities for longer time than the oil and gas.
South African Transport Minister Barbara Creecy has granted long-term leases to oil majors and traders, including BP, at the Island View precinct, which is part of the Durban port on the east coast and acts as South Africa's main storage and supply hub. This was at the request of the Fuels Industry Association of South Africa, FIASA. About 70% of South Africa's fuel imports flow through the Island View precinct. FIASA says the lease agreements end years of wrangling over short-term leases that threatened investment and security of supply in the country. Business Unity South Africa says it will challenge the withdrawing of draft regulations to the National Credit Act. The Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, Park Stow's decision was informed by the more than 20,000 submissions opposed to the proposed regulations. The rejection was sparked by Sub-Regulation 7 that would permit registered credit bureaus to receive consumer credit information from, amongst others, educational institutions. Critics say this provision would result in graduates being blacklisted from loans and jobs. BUSA CEO Lekhuleni has accused the minister of yielding to political pressure, warning that the withdrawal will delay critical support for SMEs.
That provision has been in the statute since 2006. And in the 19 years, we're not aware of universities having handed over student debt data to credit bureaus. This is why we're saying that the regulations that were really intended to make it easy for banks and other credit providers to lend to SMEs were withdrawn on the back of something that's not what was being introduced.
The world's fourth biggest company, Alphabet, which owns Google, has announced plans to invest $7 billion in Britain's artificial intelligence infrastructure. A $1 billion data center will formally open today outside London. Google's president, Ruth Porat, says the impact of AI would be profound.
AI can be a partner to make each one of us more productive. And in the healthcare area, you can see it firsthand. From the work that we've done, we see you can save ballpark 30% of their time that's devoted to administrative tasks. What if that's devoted to you as a patient? It's better for the nurses, it's better for the patient.
Now taking a look at the indicators, $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,501 naira. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 19. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 33. And in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha 87. Moving to the BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 rial 35. Russia, 83 rubles 89. In India, it's 88 rupees 27. China, 7 yuan 12. And South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 35 cents this afternoon. $1 is trading at 73 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,696, platinum at $1,411 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $67.27 a barrel. And those are your business news. For any business news stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459 for Channel Africa Business. I am Buntle Headbush.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. Broadcasting in 5 different languages, connecting the continent. This is Channel Africa, the African Perspective. Ahoy, matey!
Captain here to help, right, boys?
Set sail with us on a digital voyage like no other. Channel Africa has a treasure trove of awesomeness. That is our website and social media pages.
Tell me, why are you here?
We want you to be part of our adventure.
The winds are changing, Captain. And this time...
Imagine a world where curiosity knows no bounds, where entertainment meets enlightenment, and where every click leads to the African perspective. Visit us on our website, www.channelafrica.co.za, or follow us on Instagram or on X at Channel Africa 1. Go on, like us on Facebook at Channel Africa 1. So, spread the word. Tell a friend that Channel Africa's online variety is what they need on the web. Channel Africa, the African perspective. They talk about what Africans say about Africa.
C'est pas ne plus ramper, c'est pas y masser, c'est pas y causer, saute crier aux amis. Ça fait ouais des côtés qui m'ont gagné, qui m'ont yé mon vivre, les autres connaissent, saute l'orgueil back for. Ça fait ouais des qui m'ont yé qui m'ont fait. moi. Mon compte, mon blessing. Mon papa vite fait ses années. Lola dame qui n'a pas respect. Mon levé, mon piale.
47 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time, Elijah Seychelles with Espe Otua. Beautiful music on
I'm
the...
proud of you. That pronunciation was beautiful.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You see what working at Channel Africa, it exposes you.
Right?
All kinds of music on the African continent. Beautiful music
Mhm.
on the African continent. All right, we get ready now for What Caught Your Eye. A few things that will be, not a few things we'll be addressing, but one that was circulating on social media, on TikTok and on X, past couple of hours, right? And I need to. Oh, I'll hold the microphone like this. So you've got an interesting microphone today. I like that. That's very nice.
Cheers.
Cheers to you. Yeah, cheers to you too. All right. Here's what caught my eye.
Tell us.
Here's what caught my eye.
Mhm.
Did the African National Congress score an own goal?
I was actually thinking of the same analogy. Oh my goodness. Yes.
Yesterday, the African National Congress's councillors from across the country gathered at the Gold Rush Dome at the FNB Stadium in South Africa for a roll call. The Service Delivery and Infrastructure Action Plan, which was adopted by the ANC NEC, was unveiled with marching orders on how it's going to be implemented. But during this roll call, the president of the African National Congress and also the president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, alluded to the fact that some of the best performing municipalities in South Africa were actually not run by the ANC, but in fact, they were run by the Democratic Alliance, the opposition party. He said this in public to the councillors, right? Admitting that, no, our own municipality run spaces are not well run. And in fact, we need to go and ask the DA what they are doing right so that we can implement it ourselves. I am sorry. You have been the party leading the country since 1990 what. And now you are saying and admitting that your municipalities that you are running under your leadership have not been performing and that the best have been run by your opposition party. Is that not an own goal?
Yeah, it sounds like the definition of an own goal. But I don't know what to call. I honestly don't know what to call that. What do we call that? Do we call that noble?
Sabotage?
Do we call it sabotage? I actually am very confused by that behavior. And because look, I don't look. He's stating facts. He is stating facts.
That's even worse.
That's even worse, right? He's stating facts around the fact that an opposition party is doing a better job than the party that should be running and being the example is not the example. So my reaction is confusion. If somebody were to say, "What is your reaction?" I'd be like, "I'm confused." That's what.
Let us know what you think on TikTok at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok.
Goodness.
Was it an own goal scored by the ANC? It's 9 minutes before 3 p.m. Central African Time. We continue with what caught your eye right after this.
Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa. Africa, meet Abedi.
Yeah, that's me.
Abedi is a music lover through and through.
I really love African music.
He's got a taste for all kinds of tunes and spends his days listening to Channel Africa. Guess what? He didn't know.
Okay.
Channel Africa wants to help Abedi and all music lovers everywhere to discover even more incredible music. That is why Channel Africa is calling on all African musicians to submit their music. musicians, remember to give us all your relevant information. Make your submissions at music@channelafrica.co.za. Submissions are your chance to be heard on radio. But sadly, they do not guarantee that you'll be playlisted. All submissions will be carefully reviewed to see if they meet our station's requirement. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Let the Upside transport you from Cape to Cairo every weekday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central African Time.
All right, 8 minutes before 3 p.m. Central African Time. We continue with What Caught Your Eye. My What Caught Your Eye was about the president, Cyril Ramaphosa, scoring
the president
of the ANC.
And the president.
You're having a good time, aren't you?
I can't on the show. Seriously, sometimes I just cannot.
Listen,
tell us.
That own goal.
Yes.
The Democratic Alliance did not let that slide. They used it as they used it. They posted it on their own platform.
As a quote.
Quote unquote what he said. And they posted it on their own platform saying some of the best municipalities are run by the DA. That's an own goal. 2026, there are elections coming up. It's not what you should be saying, is it?
I don't know what to call that. Honestly, I'm really confused. Maybe it's strategy. Maybe there's something we don't know.
You think it's strategy?
Maybe there's something at the top that we really are unaware of. From the president of South Africa to the former president of the US.
Did not the what do you call him? The chairperson, the African National Congress chairperson, Gwede. Mantashe, did he not add fuel to the fire?
What did he do?
He then goes on to say, we have a lot of singing counselors. We sing well, but capacity, dololo.
Wow.
When it comes to implementation, but we sing well.
Okay, Uncle Beezy.
All right. All I'm saying is ANC scored an own goal yesterday during that rollout. I don't think it played out as well as they would have wanted.
No, that didn't sound very successful to my ears. So from the president of South Africa to the former president of the US.
Oh, Joe.
Or Barack Obama, the famous one, okay, the one that Africans own a third of. That one, yes. So his production company, I really love this New Earth because you don't just have to be a president.
Yeah,
you can be a farmer, like the farmer in the president, I beg your pardon, in Kenya. President William Ruto is a farmer as well. But you can also own a production company, like Barack Obama and his wife, right? So news is that they have produced, Barack and Michelle Obama, to Higher Ground Productions, which is their production company, have produced The Eye of Ghana, which is a new documentary that premiered at TIFF 2025 and directed by Ben Profoot. It tells the story of Kwame Nkrumah and how he envisioned cinema as a visual tool for African liberation. Okay, central to this film is the celebration of Ghanaian cinematographer Chris Hesse, which is wonderful, whose archival footage was used in this particular production. But also, I think what's really significant around the story is how it captures Kwame Nkrumah's advocacy around Ghana, the colonial narrative, but also incorporating cinema into that. So isn't that interesting? That over 5 decades post the death of former President Kwame Nkrumah, that there is this entire production, and it tells the African story from an African perspective. Because the involvement for me of Chris Hesse is very, very significant and important. So the documentary also explores how this vision still resonates today, especially among newer generations seeking cultural and historical grounding. I think that's a beautiful angle.
I love that. That's
Big ups to them. Big ups to Barack and Michelle Obama's Higher Ground Productions.
Shout out to them. Yeah,
Let's do an inclusive clap.
Hallelujah.
Love it.
Brilliant. Because when we think about the... What's happening?
We love it.
social media
We love it.
specialist here. When we think about it, not a lot of African stories are being told. Not a lot of it
Not
is
at this
being-
level.
Not at that
Yeah.
level is being documented. When we refer back, why must we only go back to Greek mythology, Roman empires? What about Africa? Africa had its own empires, had its own kingdoms and leaders and noteworthy historical figures that the generation of today, the Gen Zs, know nothing about. So amazing work that they're doing. Because when you said the eye of Ghana, I was like, okay, it made sense when you started telling the story of what they're going to be doing. Immediately, I was like, the eye of Ghana. There is actually an eye of Africa. So I thought the eye of Africa.
Actually,
I was like, oh
totally.
no, you're talking about that one because the eye of Africa is found in Mauritania, if I'm not mistaken. You have to go up to be able to see it. It's quite a spectacle to witness. But shout out to Michelle and Barak for telling African stories by Africans for Africans.
And also involving Africans. And I think what's really important to note is the keeping and preserving archival material, preserving history, and I'm going to repeat again, the role of Chris Yese is very important in the story because they didn't just take it and Americanize it and just put that, you know what I'm saying, do the typical thing that we've seen in the films for so many years. They've actually come home to make sure that they put the dollars in the right places, and that is the story of the New Earth for me. Is where we're putting the money. Are we investing in places and spaces that actually matter? Storytelling will always be, forever, one of the most primitive, but still very relevant ways of being able to pass down information that is important for future generations. So listen. 10 out of 10 for this one. Brilliant.
Do you know how many people look back at the stories of Abu Malcolm X and what and
all
Luther,
the great
what,
heroes,
and they see themselves in them. They're able to relate and say, "Wow, okay, if someone else was able to do it, me too." So if you tell more African stories about African leaders, people who changed the landscape of the countries that they live in that they don't know about, what will that do in terms of inspiring them, changing their mindsets, and allowing them to envision a future beyond what they can see around them? These stories are important, so shout out to the Obamas for telling the African story. All right, it's less than a minute to go before we get the latest news with Onele Ntsinzi. Don't go anywhere. This is The Upside, your gateway to the good life on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Cheers for what caught your eye. There we go.
Nice one.
Thank you very much. So here's what's going to happen now. In the next hour, we continue with our literature corner, but we're talking about kids' storybooks.
Love it.
Books that will inspire your kids, allow your kids to see the superhero in themselves. And I love that. It's 3 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the latest news. Onele Ntsinzi is standing by.
SABC News. The African perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Looking at your top stories, Malawi's electoral process held as peaceful and orderly, and Kenyan High Court issues an arrest warrant for a British national. The latest news. Greetings to our listeners. South Africa's former Minister of Social Development, Lindiwe Zulu, has commended the peaceful and orderly conduct of the electoral process in Malawi. This as voting continues in the country's continuous general elections. Speaking to Channel Africa from Malembo polling station in Kasungu district in central Malawi, a key stronghold of incumbent President Lazarus Chakwera, who is part of an election observation mission under the Africa Center for Governance. Zulu noted that while comparisons to previous elections are being made, the focus remains on ensuring that systems and institutional processes are in place to protect voters and uphold the integrity of the election.
What we have seen so far, everyone is making comparisons to the previous, a good thing to do. However, we are looking at the current as to whether the systems that need to be put in place, the institutional processes that need to be put in place that will protect the voter who came here to vote, who came here to choose which leaders they want. So far, where we've been, it's been very peaceful, it's been very calm, and we've not been experiencing people complaining about the process of voting.
Police have physically removed the Gambia's Auditor General, Nnamodu Cisse, from his office after he refused to give up the post in a government reshuffle carried out by President Adama Barrow. Cisse, who has spent almost 3 years as an Auditor General in the country, says he had turned down Barrow's recent offer to become a trade minister. The row has angered many Gambians, with some accusing the president of trying to replace Cisse with someone who will shield him for corruption allegations. The president has promoted the Director of Internal Audit, Cheno Amadou Sowe, to the post of Auditor General, but he is not reported to work following public backlash. The Commission of Inquiry to determine whether attempts were made to prevent the investigation and prosecution of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission cases in South Africa is set to begin its hearings on the 10th of November. The Commission has called on all interested and affected parties to file witness statements, memoranda, reports and any other relevant documentation and evidence by the 10th of next month. A court in Kenya has issued an arrest warrant for a British national accused of murdering a 21-year-old woman in the northern town of Nanyuki, where the British Army has a military base. Prosecutors say Agnes Wanjiru was killed at a lodge more than a decade ago. The BBC's Akisa Wandera.
The judge issued an arrest warrant after the suspect failed to appear at the High Court to answer murder charges. He directed that the identities of the accused and witnesses not be published, citing the need to protect the integrity of the trial. The prosecution added that while some witnesses are based in Britain, they will be made available for hearings in Kenya. The case has raised questions about accountability and justice in relations between Kenya and the UK, given the British Army's long-standing presence in Laikipia County.
Lastly, the southern Indian state of Karnataka has started a survey of thousands of women who were dedicated to the service of Hindu gods at temples but often sexually exploited. The study aims to gather information about their socio-economic conditions and the rehabilitation of the women known as Devadis. The BBC's Anbarasan Etirajan.
These protesters have swarmed the railway tracks, they've thrown logs on it, they've put rocks on it, trying to block the trains from coming up, really. And the reason behind this isn't actually linked to the trains, it's linked to the buses. So trains can only go so far up the Andes, and then you have to get on a bus. And for the last 30 years, the same company has been running that route, and that contract eventually came to an end. And a local company has been handed the contract, and the protesters are accusing Peru Rail, who run the train up to the village.
We do apologise for playing the wrong sound there. But recapping on your top story, South Africa's former Minister of Social Development, Lindiwe Zulu, has commended the peaceful and orderly conduct of the electoral process in Malawi. This as voting continues in the country's contentious general elections. For any news stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us at +27 11 714 4459. Channel Africa News, I am Onele Tsinsi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
We're 6 minutes into the final hour of The Upside. Dear Upsider, thank you for being here. 6 minutes into 3 p.m. in Central African time. We've been having ourselves a really good time. And if you've been with us, well, it's been great, hasn't it? And thank you so much for your comments. If you are able to catch this broadcast live, you can watch the show on YouTube as well as Facebook and drop us your comments there. Otherwise, at Channel Africa 1 with the hashtag The Upside is where you can find us on Twitter. Or is it now X? I don't know. I call it Twitter. It will forever be Twitter in my universe.
It's not just you, it's everyone, honestly.
It's Twitter. I mean, what's this?
No, let's be honest. It is Twitter. Like
it's Twitter.
We know it's got an X, but it's because you send a tweet. When it's X, what do you send? An X?
Yeah, you send an X, and then what do we call the Xer?
Thank you very much. So it's Twitter for us. So
a tweep sends a tweet. That's tradition.
See, that just makes sense. An X does what? We don't know. Listen, we'll be getting into conversation with Zinhle Matthews in this hour, a South African author, chartered certified accountant, and advocate for empowerment, who has created a platform. The platform is called My Family of Superheroes. She launched it in 2021 that encourages self-discovery through storytelling, music, and interactive experiences. And this is at the back of the children's book that she wrote, titled also My Family of Superheroes, which tells the story of Precious, a young girl who learns to recognize her own power with the guidance of her mother and the support of the family. How cute. No.
I love it. You know, that's just the best way to keep the fires burning, man. You know, is to tell stories from a child's perspective. Mm-hmm. Because can you imagine? I mean, think about yourself when you were a little boy, like at 3, 4, 5 years old, and how big your imagination was. You had no limits. There was no I don't know what the psychological terms are now, but you know where you block yourself, like, oh, it'll never happen. You don't think like that when you're a child. Anything is possible. You're so young and impressionable, and you think you can go to the moon and back, and you think everything is free, and you think you can bite into the wall and it'll taste like chocolate and it'll grow back, and everything is so lovely. So it's so beautiful to tell stories, not just from an African perspective, but also from an African child perspective, because the imagination is vast and there are no limits. I love that.
Absolutely. I mean, that's where you believe that anything is possible, right? And then when we grow up, you say, hey, life happened. But those dreams are still valid.
Yes.
The imagination was still valid. What you were dreaming, what you were imagining was as real and could be attainable. But, you know, life then happens and you get discouraged. And then, like, you get rejections and you start feeling, no.
Then it chips away at you a little bit.
But go back to that childlike belief and that faith, because that's when magic really happens, even in your adult years.
That is true. And that is the importance and the lesson for adults in these types of stories, and children and adults kind of sharing in story time, is to remind each other of those wonderful things. So yeah, it's going to be a pleasure to really look at, you know, superheroes, family, and all the good stuff with Zinhle Matthews, who's going to be joining us on the show, and we're going to talk story. I can't wait.
Absolutely. It's 10 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. Welcome to the final hour of The Upside.
Got something to say? Are you passionate about issues that matter?
Do you have a voice that deserves to be heard?
Well, we've got the perfect platform for you. Call in or drop us a WhatsApp on +27 63 406 9126.
And we will call you back.
So you could have your say and be part of the conversation.
30 years of age. I just turned 30 on the 15th of November. So that's who I am, you know.
It's not just talk. It's your chance to air your views.
Share your opinion.
Engage with a community that values your perspective.
Follow us on our social media.
Visit our website at www.channelafrica.co.za and get ready to share your views on Channel Africa,
the African perspective.
Mkhanza zokhudza amuna ndi azimayi kapena kuti gender-based violence, GBV, zikuwononga mioyo komanso kuphwasula midzi. Zikuchitika m'manyumba, m'masukulu, malo ogwirira ntchito, ndipo kwambiri mwakachetechete. Koma sizikuyenera kupitirira. Mukazimva yankhulani. ngati mwakhuzidwa funani chithandizo chifukwa kusachita chilichonse sikuthandiza. Mverani kuma wireless onse 10 asanu ndi anayi a SABC kuchokera lachitatu pa 23 mwezi uno wa Julayi kuti mumve zokambirana, malangizo, masewero, zionetsero za maphunziro ndi mafunso okhuza nkhanza za amuna ndi azimayi ndi akatswiri, anthu opulumuka ku nkhanzazi, kukhazikitsa lamulo komanso dziko lonse lokhuzidwa ndi nkhanzazi. Zonsezi pa wireless yomwe mumayikonda ya SABC. Imbirani pa nambala 0800 428 428 kuti munene za nkhanzazi kapena kupeza chithandizo. Nkhanza zokhuza amuna ndi azimayi zimatha ndi inu. Uthenga ukufikani kuchokera ku SABC.
If it's news and current affairs, leading opinions, and thought leaders that get your groove, this is your home, The Upside.
Dreams are made of love, dreams are made of flowers, dreams are made of feelings, dreams are made of passion, dreams are made of money, dreams are made of family, dreams are made of you and your mind. All those plans you had when you were a child, ago. Believe that they still stand, 'cause your time is now. Just believe in yourself. Just believe in yourself. Don't let your crown down. Don't let your crown down. Who you ain't now, 'cause you know just who you are. And in time you will see just what you're made of. So go find your way. Dreams are made of tears, dreams are made of fears, dreams are made of enemies, dreams are made of friendships, dreams are made of your talents, dreams are made of greatness, dreams are made of bad weather any day. When you were ago. Believe that they still stand, 'cause your time is now. Just believe in yourself. Yeah. Yourself. Don't let your crown down. Don't let them tell you who you ain't. 'Cause you know just who you are. And in time you will see just what you're made of. So find your way. Just believe in yourself. Just believe. Don't let them tell you who you ain't. 'Cause you know just who you are. You will see just what you're made of. So go find your way. Everybody wants to be somebody. Just believe in yourself. 'Cause you know just who you are. Everybody wants to be somebody. Just believe in yourself. Just believe. 'Cause you know just who you are.
Born in Cameroon and based in the UK, in London, Deborah Debs. Beautiful song there. It's titled Dreams. Beautiful music coming from Upside this afternoon, your gateway to the good life. We're talking all things literature in this hour because our next guest is proof that superheroes aren't just found in comic books, sometimes they are found right at home. When last did you read a children's book, Mmatsheko Mosito?
My daughter was reading one to me a weekend ago.
Who wrote it?
I forgot, but it's about a girl with an afro. I think her
nice.
name is Zinzi or something to that effect. But she was reading the story and adding her own spices to the story. But that was fun. It was about a girl with an afro living with her mom and dad, and how they were teaching her about her hair and a love for self. I forgot the book. I'll take a picture of it. But it's a cute little story.
African author.
African author, African story. Brown people in the book. Stunning.
Beautiful, beautiful. I can't remember the last time. I need to go and now I'm going to seem like a weirdo, but I need to go to a bookstore, right? And see.
Wow, what does that turn you to a weirdo?
No, when I go to the kids section.
Because you don't have a kid?
Yeah, I don't have a kid.
Well, you're manifesting, so go there.
I'll go to the kids section, right, and see what kind of books the kids are reading. Right. And the reason I ask, and I know it's slightly off topic, is because not too long ago, Snoop Doggy Dogg, you know Snoop Dogg,
rapper.
the American rapper.
Yeah.
He went to watch a movie in cinema not too long ago, and they were playing a movie where they were showing a same-sex couple in the movie, and it was a kids movie.
About that, yeah.
And it was outraged. It was like, why are they showing kids such things? And that's why I'm like, we need to check what's in the books, because what are authors writing? What are kids being fed? What images are being created in their own heads? In terms of the society around them, a lot of it is shaped by the books that they're reading. Are we actually monitoring the books that they're reading? And is it told in Africa from an African perspective? Or is it told from someone living outside, looking in,
who's trying
telling
to
a different...
propagate something else?
There we go. That's why I'm like, I need to go to these bookstores, make it a personal mission, right?
And do the research.
Go and do research. And see exactly what stories are being told, because these are the stories we need in Africa. This one by Uzinzi Matthews, right? Because the story of my family of superheroes, encouraging kids to look within themselves, right? And find the superhero in themselves and the people around them is quite inspiring. It's 19 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. We'll get into conversation with the author Uzinhle Matthews right after this.
Africa. It's time to plug into the heartbeat of the continent. Tune in to Channel Africa, your go-to radio station that broadcasts in 5 different languages.
L'Afrique du Sud célèbre la journée nationale du
Kabla hujaitwa kwa jina la Double K
or more of our forests have been destroyed. Partido Africano da Independência da Guiné.
Channel Africa represents every corner of this amazing land. From Lagos to Cape Town, Nairobi to Dakar, we've got you covered with the freshest news, music, and cultures. So, turn up the volume, feel the rhythm. And join the conversation. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
The Upside with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito, bringing Africa's voices to the world on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Our next guest is proof that superheroes aren't just found in comic books, but sometimes they are found right at home. Uzinhle Matthews is a South African author, chartered certified accountant, and passionate advocate for empowerment. She is the founder of My Family of Superheroes, a platform launched in 2021 that uses storytelling, music, and interactive experiences to inspire both children and adults to embrace their inner strength. At the heart of her vision is her children's book, My Family of Superheroes, which follows a young girl named Precious, who, with the guidance of her mother and support of her family, learns to recognize her own power. It's a story about affirmations, courage, and the belief that every child and family has something extraordinary inside of them. Zinhle Matthews now joins us on the line. Zinhle, thank you so much for your time. You wear so many hats, author, accountant, advocate. Let's find out what inspired you to create My Family of Superheroes.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Really, it's such a personal journey because I know that my resume is quite colorful now, but it wasn't always like that. I myself experienced just low self-esteem issues, and in my journey of growth, that is where I was reintroduced to positive affirmations. And I thought, imagine if our children were to be introduced to this powerful tool from an early age, what they can achieve. And I mean, this journey started in 2019. And everything that you read up until now is everything that I had achieved from 2019. So imagine what they can achieve. And that is where the story was inspired from.
I find it so hard to believe, Zinhle, looking at your photographs. I mean, you shine brighter than the brightest star in the galaxy, which means you've done the work on yourself, to get yourself to this point, but also to be able to tell the story, which is beautiful to note that it's just a lovely blend between storytelling and also empowerment. How did you merge those themes successfully in telling the story to children?
Well, it helps to also have a mother who is a teacher. So my mother was a primary school teacher, and so growing up at home, we were taught to write music. And so through that, I believe that that really assisted me in writing a story, not just to empower children with regards to literacy, but to really have a message that can uplift, that can awaken one to oneself. And really that has been my journey. But also just in terms, I mean, look at what I'm wearing now. I love African print. I have my book, very colorful, and I truly believe that it is in imagery that that children get excited, get inspired in their concentration, in wanting to listen what the story is about. And so I think it is in the color that I believe I was able to grasp their attention.
My Family of Superheroes. Am I correct in saying, Zinhle, that it's not just in English that this book is available, but the other languages as well?
Yes, and the one that I'm holding right now is in isiZulu. Of course, I am Umzulu, and so my first translation has been in isiZulu, and I am working on translating it in other languages. I mean, I feel like with regards to reading in your own language, it's not just an intellectual read, but something inside of yourself awakens, and that has been my journey in trying to reach more masses with regards to just crossing the borders of limitations in terms of linguistic.
Okay. I'm interested in finding out about My Family of Superheroes, not just as the book, but as this platform that you've created, not just for children, because it's not an isolated, they're not isolated from their families, from their parents as such. So you've built this platform to help children and grown-ups as well to recognize their inner strength. Talk to me about building this platform and what you essentially would like to see it fulfill.
One of the things that I believe is not a norm in society, and I've grown to know that it is a privilege to having grown into a family where there's a mother, there's a father. My parents have been married for 40 years, over 40 years. I've been married for 17 years now. And so bringing family together. And so that's why it is umdeni or makawe, my family of superheroes. It's to say that we are all awakening all together unto ourselves. And we are created for much more than what we see. And really, my family of superheroes is from that. It's to say, let us awaken all together as families, regardless of how it looks like.
This platform, the book itself, they're not just for adults, for kids. You're also very passionate about adult empowerment. How important is it for us as adults to start speaking words of life to ourselves at this age, at this grown age, where we have seen so much of life, so much of rejection, the dreams and the ambitions and the imaginations we once had as children have now disappeared because life has gotten in the way. How important is it for us to revisit platforms like My Family of Superheroes and just relearn how to find that strength in ourselves as adults?
Such an important question and statements that you make. And that is actually why I entered the pageantry space, where I can converse with my peers, because pageantry goes from young to old. And so I have the opportunity to mentor my peers. It needs to start with ourselves. Needs to start with how our children, I'm a mom of two. And I know how life can really wear someone down. I've been through that, but it is to have a knowing that you have the power to speak life unto yourself. It is your own mouth. It is your own thoughts. You own it. In my household with my children, if I have a day where I have had a really tough day and I end up speaking ill over myself, they're the first ones to say, "Mom, we don't speak negative here at home." And so building that into them, they get to remind you as well. But for me, how I do it is waking up early in the morning before everyone rises, and doing meditation. Start speaking words of affirmations to myself. So it has to start with you, and no one can do it for you. It is your own mouth. It is your own mind.
I love that, and I also love the isiZulu saying, Zinhle, that says umlomo uyadala, which means whatever you speak, you give life to. Where whatever you say could actually come true. So what you're saying is incredibly impactful. Okay, let's talk about the story, the book. Okay. And just why you think it's important in contemporary African families, and there are different types of families. There's families with mum and dad in the same household with the children. There's families with ugogo nomkhulu or grandma and grandpa raising the children or living, as a family unit with the parents, or there's families where I've been a little girl that was adopted by a family of a different race or a different culture. So talk to us about how the story is going to fit into the different family settings before we let you go. We've literally got a minute.
Okay, so what I like about the book is that it does not, if you see the characters, it's not limited to just the household, but it also speaks to her friends, Precious's friends, and mom at work. It also shows that, and so it's a story to awaken society. It is just hope to a family. I think I just chose a family to tell the story, but it is a universal message to say, speak well unto yourself. Your tongue has power. That's really what the message is about on the book, and I hope that it can inspire someone, it can awaken someone unto themselves, so they know that they have been created for much more than what they can see.
Amazing. Zinhle, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Thank you for reawakening the inner child in us as adults and for inspiring the young ones to find the strength within themselves and believe that they can achieve and be just about anything. My Family of Superheroes by Zinhle Matthews. It's 30 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time. Let's get the final sports update with Musibudi Makura on the upside.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thank you so much, Tebogo. A very good afternoon from the sports desk. So it's news just in. So the queen of middle distance running, Faith Kepyegon, pulled away in the final 200 meters to win by 2 seconds, clocking a time of 3 minutes 52.15 seconds in the 1,500 meter final at the World Athletics Championships out in Tokyo. Dorcas Ewer took the silver medal in a personal best time of about 3 minutes 54.92 seconds, while Australia's Jessica Hull survived a late attack from Kenya's Nelly Chepchera to take the third position and earn her nation a first ever medal in the women's 1,500 meter event. So history being made earlier on today, just a few minutes ago, with a Faith Kepyegon winning a 4th world title in the 1,500 meter event. We'll stick with the World Championships. Olympic 200 meter champion Tebogo says he has accepted his disqualification from the 100 meter final and is now focusing on his next race, which is the 200 meter heats on Wednesday. Now, the Botswana superstar admitted it was a tough year for him, battling injuries and other setbacks, but still remains positive. Tebogo says that despite the false start, he's ready to move forward and focus on the rest of the season.
Yeah, man, I'm good for the two. The 100 showed me that we are fully 100% okay. With the rounds, how it went, with the 995 that we ran, it shows that there's 100% okay. I just need to go into the 200, execute the same race that I've did in London and I've did in also in Paris.
Meanwhile, American sprint superstar that is Noah Lyles says he's not too bothered by the color of the medal that he received at the World Championships in the final of the men's 100 meter event over the weekend. So Jamaica's oblique silver ended a decade-long wait for gold since the legendary Usain Bolt storming to a victory in a personal best time of 9.77 seconds. His compatriot Kashan Thompson followed with the silver medal in a time of 9.82 seconds. Lyles taking the bronze in a time of 9.89 seconds. He's content and not too worried by the color of the medal, insisting it does not define his character.
You got to put a smile on your face. Just because you're going through hard times doesn't mean that you can't smile. I was listening to a sermon once, and they said, happy is a verb. It's in the moment. Joyful is a state of being. I'm going to be joyful. No matter if I lost today, no matter if I won today, the color of the medal does not change the color of my character, and it doesn't change how life is going.
Right, also tracking the cricket at the moment as South Africa is facing Pakistan in the first ODI match of 3. This is, of course, in preparation to the ICC ODI Cricket World Cup taking place in India, as well as Sri Lanka. Earlier on, it was the Proteas who won the toss and elected to field first in this encounter against Pakistan at the Gaddafi Stadium in Lahore. It is the first game of the 3-match series and essentially build up for both teams as they continue their preparation for the 2025 ICC Women's Cricket World Cup. So Pakistan at the moment at the crease 221 for the loss of 3 wickets after 43 overs. And of course South Africa might just have a big score here to chase if they don't continue taking wickets. They're on the subcontinent, and these are the conditions that they will be playing for the Cricket World Cup. So it's not a good start for the Proteas, but nonetheless they'll be hoping to take more wickets with about 7 overs remaining in this encounter. While staying with cricket, the former South African Proteas women's batter Claire Terreblanche says Cricket South Africa deserves full credit for the growth of the women's game in the country and for making sure that women cricketers are fully professionalised. Now, Terreblanche made her debut as a senior back in 2003 and played up until 2009 and did not also have the privilege of being contracted, as that was not introduced during her time, only being introduced back in 2013. She expressed just how pivotal that moment is in the sport and was also key in taking the sport to higher levels in the country, even though her playing days were all over.
Yeah, and I think when that came to fruition,
that was actually, even though not being a part of it, it was actually such a proud moment to see the progression of the women's game. And then when we speak even into a domestic sense, where Hollywood Bets, they are, title sponsor of the domestic league. So seeing that happen. So there are key moments in the most current history that has happened that just proves how much CSA is investing into women's cricket and this team as well.
All right, so that concludes your sports news this afternoon. On the Upside, for any sports stories you'd like to share with us, our email address is newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. This September, Channel Africa celebrates Heritage Month, a time to honor the stories, the rhythms, and the languages that make us who we are. Whether you're in Lagos or the shores of Zanzibar, to the mountains of Lesotho or the markets of Dakar, we are united in diversity.
Najivunia kuwa Mwafrika.
Kukondolera Afrika ndiye ndoa.
Proudly African and fabulous.
Let us preserve our languages. Let's embrace our uniqueness. Let's embrace our cultures and celebrate the beauty of our continent. Channel Africa, the African perspective. We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628.
37 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time. Let's get the final business news this afternoon on the Upside. Buntle Headbush is standing by.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thanks, Tebogo, and good afternoon. The final look at our business news this afternoon, our top story, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPC, has called for stronger African collaboration to achieve energy security on the continent. Speaking at the 7th African Petroleum Producers Organization CEOs Forum, the NNPC's Group Chief Executive Officer, Bashir Ojulari, stressed the urgency for Africa to accelerate its energy transition and secure its energy future. He says the NNPC is ready to collaborate, share knowledge, and drive collective progress with African peers to unlock the continent's full energy potential. Environmental activists say they want their voices heard as South Africa's top court considers the future of oil exploration along the country's wild coast. They marched outside the Constitutional Court in Johannesburg, protesting over Shell's plans to drill for oil and gas in the area. The matter has been set down for 2 days of arguments, with the outcome set to shape oil exploration rights in the country. Activist and leader of Amadiba Crisis Committee, Nontle Mbutuma, says coastal communities have been sidelined in decisions that directly affect their livelihoods and the environment.
Now, if our government and also Shell, they must listen to the people on the ground, because here we're dependent from the ocean. Once you do oil and gas, that means there will be no livelihood for us. Why we need to compromise our livelihood for short term? Whereas we do have alternative, which is agriculture, which is tourism, that it can sustain our communities for longer time than the oil and gas.
South African Transport Minister Barbara Creecy has granted long-term leases to oil majors and traders, including BP, at the Island View Precinct, which is part of the Durban port on the East Coast and acts as South Africa's main storage and supply hub. This was at the request of the Fuels Industry Association of South Africa, FIASA. About 70% of South Africa's fuel imports flow through the Island View Precinct. FIASA says the lease agreements end years of wrangling over short-term leases that threatened investment and security of supply in the country. The business unity South Africa says it will challenge the withdrawing of draft regulations to the National Credit Act. The Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, Park Stau's decision was informed by more than 20,000 submissions opposed to the proposed regulations. The rejection was sparked by Sub-Regulation 7 that would permit registered credit bureaus to receive consumer credit information from, among others, educational institutions. Critics said this provision would result in graduates being blacklisted from loans and jobs. BUSA CEO Lekhuleni has accused the minister of yielding to political pressure, warning that the withdrawal will delay critical support for SMEs.
That provision has been in the statute since 2006. And in the 19 years, we're not aware of universities having handed over student debt data to credit bureaus. That is why we're saying that the regulations that were really intended to make it easy for banks and other credit providers to lend to SMEs were withdrawn on the back of something that's not what was being introduced.
Further afield, protesters in Peru have clashed with police close to the ancient Inca settlement of Machu Picchu. The protesters are demanding a new company be chosen to run the buses up to Machu Picchu from the town where the train line terminates. The BBC's Jacob Evans has more.
These protesters have swarmed the railway tracks, they've thrown logs on it, they've put rocks on it, trying to block the trains from coming up, really. And the reason behind this isn't actually linked to the trains, it's linked to the buses. So trains can only go so far up the Andes, and then you have to get on a bus. And for the last 30 years, the same company has been running that route, and that contract eventually came to an end. And a local company has been handed the contract. And the protesters are accusing Peru Rail, who run the train up to the village, of colluding with the existing bus company to impose their monopoly continually over it.
And now for a look at the indicators. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,501 naira. In Botswana, it's 13.19. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 33. And in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha 87. Moving to the BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 rial 35. Russia, 83 rubles 89. In India, it's 88 rupees 27. China, 7 yuan 12. And South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 35 cents this afternoon. $1 is trading at 73 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,696 per ounce. Platinum, $1,411 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $67.27 a barrel. And that's our final look at the business news this afternoon. For any business news stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459 for Channel Africa Business. I am Buntle Hetbush.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Zilipendwa na Abedi Jean de la Croix.
Wewe ni mjasiriamali unajihusisha na biashara ya kuuza dawa. Jaribu kutuambia kwanza, kwa nini ulianzisha biashara hiyo?
Tutasema kwamba maisha ya kila siku ni kwamba mtu anapaswa kuwa na maisha ya kuweza kujitegemea. Usitegemee kuajiriwa, lakini utegemee kujiajiri, na baadaye utaweza ukaajiri wengine. Na hiyo ilinipa msukumo mkubwa kwa kuweza kujiajiri na kampuni hii kwa ajili ya kuweza kuwasaidia wale ambao wanahangaika zaidi.
Unauza aina gani ya dawa?
Unasema ni dawa, lakini kwetu sisi tunaita kama vile ni pipi, ambayo ni virutubisho ambavyo vinakwenda kusaidia kwa wale ambao wanatatizwa na aina tofauti ya magonjwa.
Virutubisho hivyo sasa vinatibu magonjwa gani?
Virutubisho hivi vinatunza magonjwa kama vile ya kisukari, shinikizo la damu.
Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
This is The Upside for the best African vibes, groundbreaking content.
Kanu, I want to know.
We're fast approaching the grand finale, the end of the show. We're 12 minutes away from 4 p.m. in Central African time. Why are you side-eyeing me?
No, I'm not.
Coming through with a wonderful woman that I just love. She walks with so many divine matriarchal spirits. Her name is Fatoumata Diawara, not just representing Mali, but I think many divine feminines across the African region. Nterini, the title of the song. Her talent it just shines in that song. It really does.
Nterini.
From the language, Nterini, from the language to just her guitar playing, to just the ancestral memory that you hear in the backing vocalists. Really stunning. Really, really stunning.
Mesmerizing.
I love that term.
Mesmerizing. No, because we were having our conversation. We're having a conversation off air, but it's playing, and you can't help but be drawn to it.
Exactly.
Absolutely mesmerizing.
Totally.
All right, it's 10 minutes before 4 p.m. Central African time. On the other side of this, let's take a quick breather. On the other side of this, we hand over to the one and only, the Queen of Africa in business, Tami Ngubeni.
The Midnight Snack, 12 to 3 a.m.
Our fitness coach, her name is Yvonne Dimagato Pasha. How to remain consistent with gyms, Dima, and I'm going to put you on the spot right now. As we are talking, I will send you my picture and I want you to tell me what you think I should work on. Because, you know, when I look at myself, Dima, I think I'm very handsome. I'm so good looking, oh my goodness. Like here at Channel Africa where I work, I think I'm one of the most good looking people ever. Like like sometimes when I look at myself in the mirror, I never get used to how good I look. I'm just amazing.
You're okay with the way you're looking. You wish people could and now you want to put me on the spot.
do I need gym?
Yeah. I mean, if you can just consider eating healthy, cutting down a few foodstuffs such as junk.
The Midnight Snack, every Monday, 12 to 3 a.m. with Chanduko Ligege.
Darubini ya Afrika na I am Henry Shakif.
Dar es Salaam siku ya leo ni ya kijani.
Ya kabisa, Tanzania nzima macho ni hapa, na mkutano wa leo umeshika karibu 90% ya vyombo vyote vya habari viko hapa kusubiri kusikia ni kitu gani hasa ambacho CCM itakisema katika siku ya kwanza ya grand opening ya uzinduzi wa kampeni zake kitaifa.
Rais wa Tanzania Samia Suluhu Hassan ameidhinishwa kuwania kiti cha urais katika uchaguzi utakaofanyika Oktoba 29 mwaka huu na tume ya uchaguzi. Hili unalizungumzia vipi?
Ila kwanza lilitarajiwa, ni jambo liko wazi kwa sababu Rais Samia ndiye aliyepata idhini ya kuteuliwa na Chama cha Mapinduzi kupeperusha bendera ya chama.
Darubini ya Afrika 11 kamili hadi 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
Fresh and exciting. The Upside, hooking you up with today's news from the African perspective.
8 minutes before 4 p.m. Central African Time. We had What Caught Your Eye earlier, all right, and we were talking about I spoke about
comments, yeah.
Cyril Ramaphosa, and you ended up talking about
the Eye of Ghana.
The Eye of Ghana. All right. I want to ask a question. I know it's a random one. Right? Would you, and I asked you earlier, but you can, just say it on air. Would you leave a wedding because there's no food?
Yes.
Or the food is delayed?
Yes.
The caterer, came in a bit later than what was expected, and so you have not been eating or haven't been given the opportunity to eat during the ceremony. Would you leave a wedding because of that?
Absolutely. I would do so politely, but I would absolutely excuse myself, without a doubt. I'm not going to sit there and starve.
There was a mother on
collapse
on social media. This was there was a wedding in Benin. A mother of the bride was bursting in tears after all the people who came for her daughter's wedding started leaving after 6 p.m. The caterer had still not arrived. I mean, it's not like the mother's fault, right? It's not like, the caterer is disappointed on the day, but it's a celebration of her daughter. But then you also understand they've been standing, singing, ululating the whole day. For hours. That's energy. That's energy. Now you need something to replenish that energy. But you say you would leave in that situation.
I would absolutely leave, and really, it just in the context, I'm going to be cheesy and philosophical. It's a Sagittarius in me. I can't help it. Food is part of the celebration.
Yes.
So if that element is missing, Houston, we got a problem. Because if we, it's a time for us to sit together and taste the food and laugh and share story and celebrate the couple. Food is part of the story. Food is part of the celebration. So if that is missing, and also that's a big part of the celebration. If that is missing for hours on end, look, maybe we can wait, I don't know, maximum 3 hours, that we can really be patient.
Yeah.
Because also you don't just want to up and leave. The fact that people were leaving in like large amounts of people just leaving the venue.
Yeah.
It means it was serious. It means they've been waiting for hours. In fact, 6 p.m., that's the whole day. They were waiting the whole day to be fed. And, I mean, can you imagine? Okay, here's the flip side. The super negative side is there are some people that are living with medical conditions. You got to take your treatment, or whatever the case, you have to eat. You have to eat. You're a breastfeeding mother. What are you going to feed your child if you haven't eaten? Which means
I
I would
mean,
leave in Setswana.
There's a train of thought that says, "Why don't you eat before you go to the wedding?"
Oh my goodness!
Because
that just
we
ruins
know
the
because we know African weddings sometimes.
Oh,
The
man.
program will say wedding starts at 2:00, 3:00, so that there'll be photo opportunities at sunset at 5, 6:00. Then they'll be eating at 7:00, and it doesn't happen that way. It gets delayed an hour, 2 hours later. That's why before you even go to any African wedding, have something, just something.
Oh my God!
No, that's a real. When have you ever? And this is open for debate. When have you ever been to an African wedding that started on time?
How much time do you have?
What? Okay. What was
How much time do you have?
on average? How long do you wait before it actually starts? It's like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours delayed, right?
Yeah, let's say an average of 3 hours.
Of 3 hours. The gist of it is that you've never been to an African wedding that started on time, right?
Yeah.
And if you know this as a fact, you go there, ensure that you have planted something in your stomach. Eat a little something so that you can prevent the situation of the people just walking away because the caterer did not arrive. Now the poor mother-in-law is in tears because it's my daughter's special day and people are leaving because there's no food.
Yeah, that is
Hey?
that is a painful and long-lasting memory for that family, and I feel really bad for them. But from the business of weddings to the business of Africa, Tami Ngubeni is standing by. I love you. Your dress is gorgeous today.
Oh, thank you so
Love
much.
it.
Appreciate it. Spring has sprung.
Spring has
so we're
sprung,
springing.
baby. Yes, what's happening with
Totally springing. Well, look, you have to update me about that wedding went wrong, because I think that's probably a story that many friends will be dining on for perhaps the entire lifespan.
The business of caterers at a wedding that don't pitch.
Oh, no.
That is terrible. I mean, how do you leave your guests hanging with no food at a wedding until 6 p.m.?
Oh, that is...
People started leaving.
Wow.
Terrible.
Well, they could have ordered in. They could have ordered
Actually.
some takeout or something. Well, here's what's happening. In Nigeria, about a month or so ago, the Nigeria Customs Service introduced a 4% levy on it's called the free on board levy for all products imported into Nigeria. This raised the ire of importers and business people in the country, because obviously it then increases the cost of doing business, especially at a time when Nigeria is experiencing currency volatility, very sluggish growth. We'll find out why the country's finance ministry has ordered the immediate suspension of this 4% levy. We'll also take a look at efforts that Lesotho is making. There's a high-powered delegation that's made its way to Washington, D.C. to try and get that 15% tariff reduced. We know, obviously, that the textile sector, which is very dependent on, and dependent on the United States, has suffered immensely. So we'll focus on that, as well as some domestic protests, the industry and, individuals losing jobs because of this.
Okay, that's a big show, and you need to tune in to find out the latest in business. Tami Ngubeni is ready to go just after the 4 p.m. news bulletin. Tell you what, we had a wonderful, tremendous Tuesday with you. We'll be back again for the Wednesday edition of The Upside between 1 and 4 p.m. in Central African Time. Enjoy yourself. We will see you again tomorrow. And yes, have yourself a glorious one. Onelin Nzinzi standing by with the latest news, and then we bid you goodbye. Cheers.
Hi there. Do you want to elevate your business and give it a voice?